Welcome to another deadline stream from a different location, and I'm also going to try to do the UCL Fantasy Matchday 5 deadline stream. The only one that definitely won't go ahead will be the Game Week 14 deadline stream because I just can't physically do it. I will be doing traveling on that day, but we are back and let's see how this goes. There probably will be the occasional frozen frame and stuff like that. The audio may cut out, so let me know in the live chat and hopefully it isn't too bad. I'm going to go through all your questions as always, and you can also see how I did in the end in Game Week 12, and I got 47 points, and I went slightly up to 593,000 in the world, but the main focus now is Game Week 13 and the team selection headaches we have for that. And I actually only made one transfer so far, and that is Trossard to Foden, so yeah, I know, a bit boring, and I have been very severely been contemplating doing Zaha to Saka for a -4 hit, but I may end up holding and then maybe take the -4 hit for two Arsenal players next week in Ben White and Saka. More on that later on in the stream and also in the team selection video that is going to come up. Hopefully, I'll let you guys know if I'll be able to do that as well. So welcome, Lipuk. It's good to see you. Start one of Perisic, Trippier, and Andreas. I will probably start Trippier from those three, to be honest, Lipuk. And by the way, if I do cut out or anything, then do ask me to repeat it and try to give me a general kind of summary of what the question was before it kind of cut out, if you can, obviously. I know it's a bit annoying. How many points did you get all this game week? Well, yeah, like I said, Pankaj, I got 47. I'm sure a lot of you did better than that, but I have to say 40, 47 isn't too shabby, I think, in Game Week 12. Thank you, Lago, as always, for the kind of reminders. I appreciate it. Good morning, Mickey, as well. Thoughts on wildcard, please. I have to say, I really like the look of it. You've got the goalkeepers that I would have as well. Also, a very solid defense with an Arsenal defender, which is great to see. And you also have a good midfield, although I think you are missing out on Saka and Foden in particular, Mickey. That is my only kind of maybe qualms about this wildcard team, but to be honest, it's a really well thought out team and it looks really good up until Game Week 16. Good to see you, John, as well. Welcome, Nick. Jeff as well. And yeah, like I said, it was... I had the wrong resolution, basically. I'm going to check now quickly on YouTube and see. And apparently the stream is healthy, but I am getting like a red bar from time to time, even more so than when I did the test, which is a bit annoying. But the drop frames is only 3%, which isn't too shabby. Of course, I don't have a stable internet here, but hopefully good enough to see this stream through until the end. Famous last words. Welcome to Bill. It's good to see you as always. Haaland or Kane as captain? I would go for Haaland. The way Brighton are playing, I know they haven't been conceding too many goals, but they don't fill me with confidence, and Manchester City are on another level, and Kane is up against a good Newcastle side where I could see him scoring, and he's in my top 5 captaincy options this week, but I just don't have as much confidence in a double-digit return as I would with Haaland. Foden captain, that's not a bad shout, and actually I wanted to make this point. Actually, Brighton is his favourite opponent in terms of goals. He scored 5 goals against them, and he hasn't scored against any other club more times, and that is also in only 6 games, and he's also got 1 assist, so really good record there, pretty much a goal contribution per game for Foden, and that's one of the main reasons why I was kind of heavily backing him this week, and to be honest, he's going to be a really easy transfer in for most of us, but I have to say the fixture also corresponds with it. Thank you, John, I appreciate the shout out. What about bringing Trent? I don't really have any objections to that. I would just be a bit concerned about possible rotation between Game Week 13 and also the Champions League Matchday 5. Liverpool have a crucial game against Ajax. If they win that, they pretty much seal qualification and everything is good on their side, but they need to win that game against Ajax. Hey Dylan, is Trent benched? I'm not sure if he's benched or not, and a lot of the predicted lineups actually had Trent starting, but it is a possibility for sure. My gut feeling is that he'll start, but then again, I wasn't sure if he would against West Ham as well. Ward or Kepa to start this week? Normally I'd say Kepa, but because of the fixture, I would be tempted to say Ward. United have looked good recently, especially against Spurs. Bruno Fernandes created a record number of chances in a game for any player this season. I would probably go for Ward, but that's one of the only times I would say that. Would you sell Nico to Gabriel as I have Doherty? That's a good question. I probably would if you can, or go to Ben White, who's playing as the right back. He's got more assist potential than Gabriel. Good morning, Greenier as well. Gabriel or White? I would go for White. He's got the bit better assist potential. With Gabriel, though, he's going to score more goals. And last season, he scored more goals than any other defender in the league. And yeah, fair enough. You don't need the extra money, but I still think Ben White is just a really cost-effective option. And in the future, you never know. You might need the extra 0.67 million. That is kind of the difference between them. Welcome when. Would Eze be a better option than Zaha? At the moment, it is looking like it. Of course, he's got more points, but I still prefer Zaha long term. Maybe I'm being a bit stubborn here, and they're both really good options. I have to say, I've kind of changed my mind on this. From Crystal Palace, apart from the usual Anderson and Gay, I think the best options are those two, Zaha and Eze. And at the moment, you have to say Eze is looking better. But if you have Zaha, would I move him onto Eze? No, I wouldn't. Have you made a transfer? Yes, I have, but I may use another one. That is a possibility. We don't know about Darwin, hoping for early news. Exactly, that is going to be the big concern. If Nunez starts, I would be a bit concerned as a Salah owner. And for those of you captaining Salah, you might be a bit worried as well. But yeah, if Nunez doesn't start, I have to say, I'd be a bit more confident going into that game with Salah. Hey Dylan, which goalkeeper would you start of Pope and Ward? And also, who would you start of Andreas, Castagna and Anderson? At the moment, I am going forward, as you can see on screen, and actually, I put a poll out. Let me try to get the results here. So I put a poll out, and almost 1,000 of you voted, so thank you very much. And 64% of you agreed with me and have gone for Ward over Nick Pope. But it's a difficult one. Normally, it's obviously Nick Pope, but he's facing Tottenham away, and you probably want to start Trippier because he's just a points machine at the moment. And double Newcastle defense against Spurs. I mean, I don't think it's the worst option in the world. Newcastle have been very good this season, but it's still not going to fill you with confidence. And I do expect Spurs to score a few goals. And if not, at least score one, and that'll wipe out the Pope clean sheet, of course. But yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents on it. In terms of the other question you asked, who would I start from those three? Probably Castagna, actually. It's a really close call between him and Anderson, but I think I'd just about go for Castagna. And to be fair, Andres isn't a bad option as well. Thank you for the kind words too. White for Stupinian, honestly, I'd go for it. I'd definitely do that for sure. Start Doherty or Perisic. I'll be honest, mate, I don't want to burst your bubble, but it looks like both of them could be benched this week, which is obviously a bit of a shame. I'd say Doherty is a bit more likely to start. There's a really reliable source for Spurs who said that Sessegnon will come in for Perisic. I think his name is Daniel, or begins with Dan. I saw his account yesterday. That doesn't fill you with confidence. I think if you check my Twitter, you'll see it. I retweeted it. But yeah, that isn't really going to fill you with confidence. It's a difficult one. I'd probably say Doherty, but I think both of them could be benched in the end anyway. Thoughts on Gerrard sacking and with Villa having no manager? And I think it makes Tony a great option for this game week. It can go both ways because even with an interim, there could be a bounce. There could be a managerial bounce, as we say. It was a bit harsh, maybe, the Gerrard sacking in terms of, he got the news whilst he was on the coach with the Aston Villa players back to base. That was a bit mad. But, losing 3-0 to Fulham and also with the poor results this season, the awful style of play, I'm not too surprised. And actually, he was one of my tips to be the next manager to be sacked. And in the end, it was Tuchel. But yeah, Gerrard, I don't think he's necessarily an awful manager, but he's done a pretty poor job at Aston Villa. I think they have more quality than they have shown. But of course, he did great things with Rangers. And let's see how he bounces back. Rashford to Saka or Martinelli for a -4. I'd say Martinelli because Saka is also an injury doubt. I don't think it'll be anything serious or anything like that. And he is the informed Arsenal player. But Martinelli's a bit safer. He was ill all week, but now he's back and he should be fit and available to start. I mean, Arsenal have no one else really on the left-hand side. So I'd go for Martinelli. A bit safer, I'd say, out of the two. Doherty to Ben White for a -4. Because I think Doherty will be benched and Ben White is a great option until Game Week 16, I would do it, yes. Bestie, and thank you very much for the comment. Aubameyang to Tony or Darwin? I still prefer Tony, but as I keep on saying to people who are looking to bring in Tony, be careful with him because he's 1 yellow card away from suspension, so he could be James Maddison all over again. Good morning, Abo. Good to see you. Is it worth a -4 to get Saka for Barnes? I already have Martinelli and Foden. I think it is worth a -4, and I said this with Barnes. I think he was a good 1 week punt against Leeds, who he has a really good record against. But beyond that, I wouldn't want him. Now, it's kind of difficult to get rid of someone who just hauled, and you could maybe just wait another week to be fair and do it for free, but I think it's worth the -4, and I would do it. Just bear in mind, there is the slightest chance, although small, that Saka is benched this week. And by the way, thank you to everyone for tuning in and for all the support that you're showing. And if you haven't already, then be sure to smash the like button and subscribe for new. And we're trying to get to 16,000 today. We're literally like 10 or 20 away, so it'd be greatly appreciated if we can hit 16,000 in this stream. I am not at home at the moment. I am on holiday, but I will be back around next week. And I think, so hopefully the UCL Fantasy Matchday 5 stream will go ahead on Tuesday. And then there'll be no streams up until maybe the Sunday for the reaction stream. So no deadline stream for Game Week 14. I won't be able to do it, otherwise I would. And then it'll be usual content as always from home from next Tuesday, or yeah, kind of got overcomplicated things here. The Matchday 6 deadline stream will definitely go ahead for UCL Fantasy. But as always, it's great to see so many of you here turning out. And let's try to get this stream to over 200 likes. I'm not sure how many people are watching right now, but obviously the chat is pretty busy, so I do appreciate it. So yeah, let's try to get this stream to over 200 likes and keep on pushing. So go back to your questions. Start Dyer or Gay? That's a good question. I think I would go for Gay. It's a close one though. Start Ward or Pope? I'm going for Ward at the moment. Maddison or Solanke? Maddison. Will Soufal play? I thought he would last week, and it didn't turn out to be the case. It's a difficult one. I'd say no, and maybe I'm going to be wrong once again. Start Ward or Ramsdale? I would go for Ramsdale personally. I'm not going to say I count an Arsenal clean sheet, but most of their clean sheets, if not all of them pretty much, especially in the Premier League, have come away from home. And Southampton have struggled all season, but I wouldn't be surprised if they got something. Having said that, I have much more confidence in Arsenal than Leicester. I'd go for Ramsdale. Morning, should I bench Doherty for Andreas? It's a difficult one. I think I'd still prefer Doherty, but there is a risk of him being benched, of course. Edouard or Solanke? I'm not sure about that high. I mean, the thing with Solanke is he offers good value. I still prefer him over Edouard because I'm just not too sure how long Edouard will continue to start, and it happened in January, I think, of last season. I'd go for Solanke out of those two, but of course, in the last few games, you have to say Edouard has been a bit more consistent. De Bruyne or Foden? You know how much I love De Bruyne, but I think Foden at the moment is the better pick. He also gives you enough money to go for Harry Kane up front, or just go for players maybe like Trent that can be the differential for you. I think Foden's the best pick, and he will score not too many points fewer than De Bruyne for like 4 million less, so I think he's the one to go for. Thoughts on bench boosting? To be fair, someone said that the other week. I laughed it off, and I was like, what are you saying? Like, me bench boosting this week? In the end, I had like 22 points on the bench, so yeah, that kind of backfired on me. Look, bench boost is kind of a weird one. It's not the best chip. In my opinion, it's the worst one. And any week can be a surprise. But in terms of my team, you know, Doherty is kind of a rotation risk. I don't expect him to start against Newcastle, which is why he's on the bench. Tillman's at home to Leicester. I'm not really expecting a clean sheet there. Then you've got Andres Pereira away to Leeds. And you've also got Pope away to Tottenham. So I don't think that's a good enough, you know, kind of bench, to be fair. But you never know. And obviously football can surprise you. Same with FPL. But I'm looking to use it in a double game week later in the season. Is Saka injured? He's just a doubt. He picked up a knock against PSV Eindhoven in a 1-0 victory. He was incredible that game. Just lacked the end product in terms of the goals. But I think he's fine, honestly. And Arteta kind of downplayed the injury as well. Ward or Gaeta this week? Good question. I think I would go... If I had to pick one, I think I would go for Ward, just about. Perisic or me? Good question. I think I would go for Perisic, but I am very, very concerned about him starting. And to be fair, if you kind of back the reliable sources, they are saying that he's going to be benched for Sessegnon. So maybe that will help you with your decision. Does Saka start? I believe so, Kieran. Start Andreas or Almiron? I mean, with the form Almiron is in, how can you bench him? But I think I'd go for Andreas. Is Doherty going to be benched? It's not completely confirmed, but I think he will. Emerson is still first choice. Start one, Almiron, Trippier, Solanke, and between Gaeta and Ward. I personally would go for Ward and Trippier. There, Surya. Saka or Mount? Mount is a good option, especially on the Graham Potter, but Saka for me is the better one. Andreas or Trippier? Like you can see on my team, I do prefer Trippier. That is my preference there. Should I take a hit and replace James with Van Dijk? I have only enough for Van Dijk. Currently Andreas in my starting lineup. I'm not sure if I'd take a hit for that. I think I'd be happy enough to go for Andreas. I know Van Dijk is facing Nottingham Forest, but I think there are better defenders in the long term. Gaeta or Ward will be a popular question. Yes, it is. I can see that. I think I would go for Ward out of those two, but it's really close. The Discord server is insane now. Let us join now. Thank you, Weiseng. And yes, that's a really good point there. You can join our Discord server. Check the links in the description below for many things like the Twitter, Instagram, the Discord server, the FPL League, the Patreon and channel memberships. All of that is much appreciated. Have a look. And the Discord server has improved. And when I am back, I'm looking to maybe make a few more improvements and be more active on that as well. Is Saka back from the knock? It's not officially confirmed, but I don't think it's anything serious. And Arteta really said, you know, he's hoping he'll be fine. And he never really kind of made it seem that serious. And to be fair, looking at the game, I don't think Saka is, you know, badly hurt or anything like that. It's just a knock. It happens. Probably should have been subbed off a little bit earlier, but to be fair, you know, he's so important to Arsenal. I think he starts against Southampton. Who to start, Trippier or Cucurella? It's a really good question. To be honest, I know Chelsea have the better fixture on paper, you could say, but I'm going for Trippier. Choose two from Trippier, Perisic and Cucurella. Actually, from those three, because I don't think Perisic starts, I go for Cucurella and Trippier. Pereira versus Leeds or Solanke versus West Ham? Great question. I would go for Pereira. I did the Silva plus Perisic plus Trossard to Foden, Saka, Ben White for -8. Look, you know kind of my feelings, try to avoid hits when you can and stuff, but honestly, those are great transfers. I have no problems with that. It looks great to me. By the way, if there is any kind of lag or anything, if it has ever frozen or the audio's cut out, then be sure to let me know, just so I know for the future. There'll only be one more stream from this location anyway, and hopefully I'm able to record 1 or 2 videos for FPL next week, and then all the UCL Fantasy content will be recorded on the weekend I'm back. But yeah, let me know about that so I just know for next time. Morning, Dylan. Just need some clarity. Would you do Trossard to Saka for a free transfer? Yes, I would, Kobe. Obviously, even if Saka misses out or doesn't start the game, obviously it'd be frustrating, but I still think that transfer's worth it. And, up until Game Week 16, I would go for him. I know some people are discussing the possibility of going for Saka. Then for the last 2 or 3 weeks before Game Week 16, going for Bowen. I think I'd just stick with Saka. So it looks good to me. Start Perisic, Dalot, or Kilman. Out of those 3, I think I would go for Kilman. It's a close one, though, I have to say. Salah, Mitrovic, Gomez, or Trent, Darwin, Jesus on the wildcard? Great question. I would go for the first trio in Salah, Mitrovic, and Gomez. Although I really like the second trio as well. Saka in for Andreas, looks great to me. Just bear in mind, for those of you looking to have 5 midfielders, if you've also got 3 forwards, you're going to bench 1 attacker every single week, and it can lead to benched points, but still looks great to me. Reece James is out for an Arsenal defender for a -4. Honestly, looks really good. And actually, if I were to take a hit for any defender this week, apart from Cancelo and maybe a Trent, it probably would be an Arsenal defender. Trippier or Chalobah? I'd go for Trippier. -4 for Foden and Benrahma. Not Benrahma, but Foden, yes. Hillman, Gay, Trips, Ward in goal. Start 1. I'd go for Trippier, honestly. I know it seems a bit boring, but he's just such a reliable option. No lag or audio issues. Everything looks good. Thank you, Mickey. That's great to see. Obviously, like I said, I got like a traffic light system and it goes from green to red to orange sometimes. But hopefully it's all good. Thank you for everyone as well, Eric, for letting me know. Dalot or Cody? Great question. I'm going to have to look at the fixtures one more time. And I think I would go for Cody. It's a close one, though. And it's not like I'm expecting a clean sheet from either side, but Everton are slightly more likely. I'd go for Cody. And by the way, I'm going to show you a few screens quickly. A few things to kind of talk about and something I haven't really covered in these videos. So top of the Dylan RCM League, and be sure to join, by the way, if you haven't already. The link's in the description below. So Ralph Che Jali, hopefully I got that right. And to be fair, I'm a bit blind anyway, so that will be my excuse. But he is top of the Dylan RCM League. If we check his rank, that'd be great to see. So he is around 304th in the world. Really good stuff. It's great to see someone so high up. And we've got some, really, really good scores and points totals, across the top 10. I mean, obviously, I'd love to shout out everyone here. Mick, Alejandro, Andrea, Zodiac, Dragon, Max, Carl, Ryan, Dean, Richard, Seb, etc. All of you doing a great job, and hopefully you push on and maybe even win it. That'd be fantastic. And sometimes it can be someone who's even outside the top 50 who ends up doing the business. But it's good to see so many of you there. I'm also now going to show you a few other screens very quickly, as we tend to do on these streams. So when we look at the fixtures, okay, that'd be great if you, there we go. So in terms of the fixtures, Man City are now top. Remember last week when the likes of Man City and Arsenal were always bottom of the fixture ticker because of the blank in 12? Well, now City are top, and that's why Foden is such a popular transfer this week. And honestly, my ideal triple up for City would be Cancelo, Foden, and Erling Haaland. But, of course, do not discount De Bruyne, who is exceptional as well. And then you've got Arsenal, who are still quite low down because they do face Chelsea. But to be fair, you know what? I'm going to remove some of these game weeks, just thinking about it now, because Game Week 18... it doesn't matter. We do get unlimited transfers ahead of Game Week 17. So this is what it's all about. Game Week 13 to 16 before the World Cup. And Man City are still second. Arsenal a bit higher up, but they do face Chelsea, of course, over the next 4 weeks. I don't think Wolves is that difficult on paper, but to be fair, they could have a new manager by then, and things could look much different by that stage. Spurs are also in the top 4. And also when you look like at the bottom of this list, Leicester, Brighton, Brentford, Man United, Southampton completing the bottom 5. Also Chelsea there. In 7th bottom, so quite interesting stuff. But looking at predicted points, and a lot of you will be asking, should I captain Salah over Haaland? Well, according to Fantasy Football Hub, you should, and he's actually predicted to score 8.8 points compared to Haaland's 7. I disagree, but to be fair, with the fixture in mind, if Salah does play down the middle, he is obviously a fantastic option. And you've got Son, Kane, De Bruyne completing the top 5, Martinelli, Jesus, Arnold, Bowen, and Cancelo. And I've seen some people talking about getting rid of Bowen for a hit for Saka and Foden. And as much as I prefer those two over Bowen, I would not, get rid of him for a hit. especially when he has 3 home games over the next few games, or obviously before the World Cup. So just something to think about. In terms of price changes, let me refresh the page as well. Foden is, I mean, he has to go up in price tonight. When you look at this, Martinelli as well, Saliba, Zaha, Van Dijk, Tony, and Trippier. And you've got a few others like Saka, who could go up in price. Maybe, if not, it'll be tomorrow after we see that he starts against Southampton, and he'll be a really popular transfer ahead of Gameweek 14 against Nottingham Forest. In terms of players going down, you've got the likes of Robert Sanchez, Mendy, Evans, Henderson. Anyone else of note? Not really. Sancho, I mean, he's not really an FPL option. But yeah, there you go. All of that is covered. And then one more thing I want to talk about actually is the stats. So if we go here, unfortunately I do not have my stream deck here, so it has to be a bit more amateur, you could say. But the big comparison is Foden versus Saka. And I think Foden is statistically better, of course. It's not much to separate the two, to be fair. And I think they are the 2 best midfielders up until the World Cup, with Bowen closely behind, I would say. But let me know your thoughts on this debate, Foden or Saka. I think most of you would opt for Foden. So let's see what else we have. So I do recognize that, obviously, I have not gone through the last few questions. Firmino, Tony, or Mitrovic? You know how much love I've shown Firmino recently, but from those 3, Mitrovic. Maddison, Martinelli, Zaha, Bowen. Should I take a -4 to replace Maddison or Bowen with Saka or Foden? Maddison I would replace with probably Foden for a -4, if anything. I would not get rid of Bowen this week for a -4. Oh yeah, captain Firmino, Tony, or Cancelo? Cancelo from those 3. Haaland, Tony, Solanke. It's a good forward line. Obviously, you know my feelings. I prefer Mitrovic over Solanke, but really good value. And with that extra million, you could go a long way in another position. Start Soufal. If he doesn't play, Trippier will come in. I would start Soufal, yes. The only issue is if he comes on for a 1-pointer, but I would risk it. I think it is worth it. Hope Masterclass today. It would be frustrating if he did get one from an FPL perspective and he's on my bench, but it's possible, of course. I got Bruno. I'm excited. I mean, he was exceptional against Spurs, probably his best game in over a year or something like that. A really good all-round performance, a well-taken goal. I want to see if he can show that consistency, then definitely he could become a great FPL option as he once was 1.5, 2 years ago. And it would be great to see, to kind of diversify the captaincy and also the midfield options at our disposal. Thank you, Football 2000. Edison fell in price to 5.4 last night. Just nothing that... just noting that for those that want City defense, yeah, that's a really good point. And to be fair, double City defense is probably the way to go. If there was any team I'd double up on, it is City. The problem is you also want to double up on their attack, so it is a bit of a frustration in a way. Ayub says, play 2, bench 3. The 2 that I would play from those lot would be... It's a good question. I would play Andreas and probably Gay. Foden is looking like a monster munch thief. I'm not sure if you're talking about that picture of him and Haaland. They kind of edited it a little bit. Do you think Koulibaly plays today? I believe so. Yeah, I think he starts. Best Arsenal defender, in my opinion, is Ben White. But obviously, there's a few others like Gabriel that deserves a mention and Saliba. But I would go for Ben White. Would you do Kane plus Bowen to Zaha to Salah, any 8 million midfielder for a -4? If you can go to Foden, then yes, I would do it, a -4 for that. But, I mean, this is the thing, though. It's kind of a difficult one because Kane and Bowen, you know, if you're getting rid of those 2 this week, I wouldn't recommend it, honestly. I think they could really easily haul. Bowen has most of his returns at the London Stadium. So kind of going from one duo to the other, either way for a -4, it could definitely backfire. I don't think there's much to split them. So a -4 might actually backfire in general, no matter what you do. Salah could... have one next week if he starts a right mid again. Yes, I mean, this is the thing. It is a bit concerning. If he just constantly hogs the touchline, I don't want him in my team. The reason why I got him in was to captain him in Gameweek 12 because I didn't trust Trossard enough, and also because he was playing down the middle, showing some serious form against Rangers and City. Then kind of a bit lackluster against West Ham, back to the same old stuff since February. Very frustrating stuff. But yeah, I have to say, I even talked about this on the wildcard when I was bigging up Salah heading into Gameweek 12. I would go for a midfield 4-ish of Mason Mount or Bowen, Saka, Foden, and then you're looking at someone like, for example, Zaha. You know, going for a midfield 4 like that. Best goalkeeper for 5.1 million, I'd say Jose Sa. Would you play Koulibaly or Dalot? Yeah, Dalot has more attacking potential, but if there were a clean sheet in this game, I think it would be Chelsea at home. And Chelsea have been pretty impressive under Graham Potter. I would go for Koulibaly. Salah or Kane onto the World Cup? As much as I like Salah and the fixtures, I'd say Kane, and I said this even last week as well. Would you play Perisic or bench him? It depends who you're benching him for, but in most cases I would bench him because I don't think he starts. And according to Dan, I'll try to get the tweet up, by the way, just so you are aware of all of that. I'm pretty sure the kind of rumor is that he will be benched. So bear with me for a second. I'll try to find this tweet. I think it's on my page, so it'll be quite easy to find. So bear with me for a second. Yeah, okay. Let me bring this up on screen. So everything will be much smoother and all of that stuff when I get back from holiday. But yeah, here we go. This is the tweet that I'm talking about. So Conte is expected to bring Ryan Sessegnon back into the fold instead of Ivan Perisic on Sunday. The source is Dan Kilpatrick, who is very reliable when it comes to Spurs news as well. So yeah, that is the big news, that Perisic could be benched. And to be fair, I said this, Perisic will either be benched against United or against Newcastle. And he started against United, and here we go. Rested for a crucial Champions League game midweek. Which Arsenal player should I bring in for -4? Apart from Martinelli, I would say Saka. He is the one that's really worth it. And if you were to go for a defender, probably Ben White. Will Saka start? I believe so, Alex. I don't think this injury is serious, to be fair. Will Salah start? Obviously, there is this kind of odd chance of a rotation there, but I think he starts as well. Good to see you, Cohen, as always. Would you bring Foden in for Maddison for a hit? Yes, I would. Should I start Gay or Castagna? I would start Castagna. I have 3 premiums, Kane, Haaland, Salah. Would you get anyone out to get Foden? Probably Salah. Obviously, would I get rid of him this week against Nottingham Forest? No, but maybe something to think about. Bench 1, White, Trippier, Gay. I'd bench Gay. Sell or keep Sinistera? I don't think he's a bad option. He looked really lively against Arsenal the other week. It depends, though. If you can sell him to Saka, Foden, even Zaha potentially, then yes, I would. Doherty to Robertson for a -4. I think it's worth it, but just bear in mind, Tsimikas could start in the Premier League, and then it will be Robertson starting against Ajax. That is definitely a possibility, so it's going to be a risk either way. Son to Salah and Pope to Raya for a -8. Too much, right? Honestly, if you can afford Son to Salah Lager without doing the downgrade in goal, I would just do that, but I'm guessing you need the extra money. If that's the case, would I do it? I don't think I would, because I think Son against Newcastle could do a decent job. I think he's got a fairly decent record against them. What transfers have you done this week, mate? Very boring stuff. So if we go back to my team, this should be it. Okay, so if we go to my team here. Oh, okay. No. Wrong one. So here we are. Going to my team. I think I had the wrong screen, by the way. It's kind of annoying. But yes, we're back here. And the only transfer I made is Foden in for Trossard. And I was considering Saka in for Zaha. But because of this small injury out and also the fact that Zaha showed more of what he's about against Wolves, I might keep him for another week. But the plan is at some stage to take a -4 hit and get the likes of Ben White and Bukayo Saka by Game Week 14. And then I could bench these options in Game Week 15 potentially against Chelsea. Probably Ben White would be the one going to the bench, and I'd start Martinelli and Saka. But of course, that's looking further ahead. I'll talk more about this as the week progresses. So in terms of the deadline, so I'm kind of adjusting to the time zone, I believe there is 1 hour left, 1 hour and 3 minutes left for the deadline. So be sure to get your questions in. No fit right backs for Southampton. Saka more important. This is the thing. I'd love to have Saka this week, and I still might take a hit for him, by the way, in for Zaha, and then just get Ben White for free next week. And also Saka, I know last time he missed a crucial chance and Forster made a really good save. But the time before that, Saka actually got a goal and an assist, and he got a double-digit return against Southampton at their stadium at St. Mary's. So, honestly, I think Saka's a great option this week. The only one that's better, I'd say, apart from De Bruyne, is probably Phil Foden. Who should I sell Kane for? Honestly, mate, my answer is no one. I wouldn't sell Kane. I think he's a great option. Very reliable. Only blanked twice this season. Would he play Trippier over Dyer? Yes, I would. Yes, exactly, Singh. Thank you. And obviously, let me know what you think of that wildcard team. There might be a few things you change. Maybe go for Bowen. Completely fair enough. But I would stick to that wildcard team I talked about. It's all up on the channel. Would you sell Bowen for Foden for -4? No, I wouldn't. Yeah, Will. It's a tricky one. It is a tricky one. Zaha is still a decent option, but his record against Everton, his all-round play since, I'd say, Game Week 5, coming back from the injury and stuff, hasn't been that impressive. Crystal Palace are very on and off offensively. I would not be surprised if it was 0-0 against Everton. With Arsenal, I wouldn't be surprised also if they drop points in general, but you would be very surprised if they didn't score a goal. And Saka is the informed Arsenal attacker. Thank you, Lager. Let me know, by the way, if you are able to afford it without making the goalkeeper downgrade. Double Crystal Palace defense or start Ward? I'd start Ward. Should I do Maddison to Foden for a hit? I would, yeah. Sell Kane for Haaland? Oh, I mean, yeah, in that case, I would. Difficult one, though. Hi, mate. Ward or Gaeta? Out of those two, I would just about go for Ward, like I said earlier. And that also answers Martin's question. Foden captain, I do not mind it. Like I said earlier, he's got 5 goals against him, so it's his favourite opponent from a goal scoring perspective. I think Foden is in the top 5 captaincy options this week. And actually, I put a poll out on my channel where over 1,000 of you voted, I think. So let me get this up. So, yeah, when we look at the votes, Haaland obviously wins by 82% of the vote. Second is Salah with 12%. Third is Foden with 4%. And a mega differential Harry Kane is 4th with 1%. The way I'd probably rank it is Haaland first. Probably I'd go for Kane second, Foden third, and Salah fourth. But it really all depends on if Salah plays down the middle. If he does and there's no Nunez, then he immediately, boosts up to second. But obviously we just don't know that yet. So kind of just going off it like that, Kane would be my second favourite captain this week, Foden third, and Salah fourth. In terms of a fifth option, maybe Cancelo as well. And Saka's also a really good outside shout. Perisic for Trippier. I would start Trippier over Perisic this week. Bench Trippier for Skamaka. Yes, I would. Although, with Trippier, though, very consistent. I would not be surprised if he got another return. Kane and Mount out for Salah and Tony -4. No, I don't think I'd do that. Why are people starting Trippier and benching Pope? Because Trippier's only blanked twice this season. He's got the assist threat, the attacking potential, the bonus points. He's really good from set pieces. So he's more likely to haul than Nick Pope. That's really the reason why. Starting double Newcastle defense against Spurs, it wouldn't be a surprise if they got a clean sheet. They're a really good team, but it's still a big risk, and I would expect personally for Spurs to score. Welcome, Hennig. Good to see you. Best goalkeeper, 5.1 million. Like I said earlier, it would be Jose Sarr or Kepa. And if I had to pick one, it would be Kepa. Not necessarily for this week. Yes, I'm trying to put your question. Like I said, I'm not trying to skip any. I'm trying my absolute best. You said with Paul being the early kickoff, yeah, I'm in a dilemma whether to bring in Salah or not. Also, rather than removing Kane for Salah, I am more inclined towards removing Trossard and Zaha. I agree, and I said this even last week. I would not remove Kane for Salah, especially for a hit. So honestly, I do agree with you. Obviously, going without Salah, especially if he plays down the middle, could obviously be very frustrating and nerve-wracking. But to be honest, I think Kane's far more reliable this season. I'd keep him. And in terms of removing Trossard and Zaha, I agree, especially Trossard, who has some poor fixtures. Brighton haven't scored from the last 54 shots, and I'm pretty sure their XG is around 3 or 4. So their finishing has been awful. Welcome, everything's Zim. Haydel and Kane for Tony or Nunez for -4. Bringing in Kane for one of those two, I'd rather bring him in for Nunez if that's the case. And would I get rid of Kane for one of those two? No, I wouldn't, to be honest. I'd keep Harry Kane. But Trippier or Rashford? Rashford, I mean, against top 6 opposition, I always kind of favour him. He had chances against Spurs, just didn't have the precision. However, having said that, I would go for Trippier. Replacement for Chilwell, probably an Arsenal defender, so I'd say Ben White or Saliba. Yeah, Cohen, I've only made one transfer this week. Foden in for Trossard. The other transfer could be Saka in for Zaha for a -4. Start Dyer or Gay, I would go for Dyer from those two. Trossard or Eze? For this week, it would be Eze. Haydel, Perisic, Andreas, and Solanke. Which one to play and which one two to bench? I'd start Andreas this week. How do you order Doherty, Andreas, and Solanke on the bench? At the moment, I'm going for Doherty first, Andreas second. So that's the way I do it. And then Solanke third. So pretty much like you said it. Should I take out Bowen for Foden? If it's for free, then I would. But Bowen against Bournemouth could definitely haul, especially at home. Do you think Nunez starts? My gut feeling is that he doesn't, but I could be completely wrong. If Newcastle could keep a clean sheet against United, then he can do it against Spurs. Yes. The thing is, with Spurs, they have scored a lot of goals under Conte, despite their defensive approach, and I do think they have a better attack than United, despite what happened the other day. But I do see what you mean, and United were the much better team the other day, and I do get your logic, but this is the thing with Spurs. I still would expect them to score at home, and I'm pretty sure they haven't lost in a long time at the Tottenham Stadium. Ben White or Cancelo this week? Cancelo, for sure, but I do like Ben White. Is Salah playing wide? He didn't against Rangers, and more so against City, where he played down the middle. But against West Ham, he did. So, yeah, it just depends really on Nunez. Does he start? If he doesn't, then it could be Salah right down the middle, Firmino just behind, with Fabio Carvalho and Harvey Elliott as the wingers, so to speak. Think Chilwell will start? Great question. My gut feeling is that he starts in the Champions League and Cucurella starts in the Premier League. That's the way I see it. And I'm pretty sure the predicted lineups I've seen also say the same thing, but I might be wrong about that. Chelsea probably play 5 at the back. Yep, it's definitely possible, and they can rotate. Thank you, Pat. Triple up on Arsenal? Yes, I would. And there you go. Thank you, John. I very much appreciate you putting the link in there. So bear with me for a second. I'm going to try to put this up on the channel. So if we now go here on Twitter, Liverpool lineups for Nottingham Forest as Darwin Nunez and surprise midfield decisions are made. So Nunez is expected to miss out if we click on the article. Let's bring us up. Yeah, whatever. We'll accept. And it's all done. Let's see. Are we on the right screen this time? No, I'm not. Okay, this is a bit annoying. Okay, now we should be on the right screen. And by the way, thank you for the super chat. I'm going to go through that very soon. I'm just going to try see this. So this is the predicted lineup. And obviously, look, it's a predicted lineup. Alisson, Alexander-Arnold, Gomez, Van Dijk, Robertson, Fabinho, Thiago, Elliott, Firmino, Carvalho, Salah, which would mean Salah right down the middle. And this is a really interesting one because this could be really good news for Tsimikas owners in UCL Fantasy if Robertson starts this week, or should I say even now, the early kickoff. It should be really, really interesting to see. Let me know what your predicted lineup is for Liverpool. And like I said earlier, my gut feeling is that Nunez is benched, and also I'm kind of hoping for it as a Salah owner. But if he does start, really good chance of returns. Thank you for the super chat. I'm going to go for it now. Thank you, Amir, as always. Much appreciated. Start Kilman or Justin. From those two, I would go for James Justin. Mount to Saka worth a -4. I like Mount. He's probably my 4th or 5th favourite, behind Saka and Foden. And potentially Bowen as well. Would I do it from -4 this week? Yes, I would. Just bear in mind, there's still this slight chance that Saka misses out, although I think he will start. And it's just a knock, nothing serious. I would do it for a -4. But having said that, Mount is a good option up until the World Cup. But Saka is even better in my opinion, so it's worth the -4. Thank you, Amir. I appreciate it. And let me know what your final decision is. Welcome, Genius Gamer. I smell a penalty for Spurs. To be fair, and I'm not saying this as a hate or anything, they've got 4 goals, 4 penalties in 4 of their last matches. The only one where they didn't was against United. Isn't Firmino due a haul? I do like Firmino, I have to say. I really like Firmino. No one expected him to be the big kind of asset against Bournemouth when they won 9-0. He was the one who got 2 goals and I think 2 assists or 3 assists. Absolutely exceptional performance. You could be right. I think Firmino, apart from Salah, if he plays down the middle, is probably the best option. Looks like Liverpool will crush with that lineup, to be fair. Yes, and they still have enough room to maybe take players off early and also have a really good team for Ajax, which is crucial. Does Saka start? I believe so, Dave. Is Saka a good pick? I think it's a great pick this week. And apart from the kind of 4 I mentioned for the captaincy, I'd probably put Saka at 5th or 6th, actually, out of all of those options. So, yeah, we've gone through everything we need to go through, I think. So let's now go back to my FPL team so you can see what I'm looking to do. And is there anything else we want to show you? I think everything is just about fine here. So yeah, we've shown quite a lot of stuff. We've got the games up. All right, so all good. If there's anything else you want me to cover, by the way, then let me know. Why Anderson over Doherty? Because Emerson Real is expected to start. And by the way, if you do see Paul O'Keefe's tweet, his predicted lineup, then be sure to let me know. But a lot of Spurs fans and outlets are predicting Emerson to come straight back in after his suspension has been served. Wilson or Jesus? Jesus. Kilman or Andreas bench? I would rather have Andreas over Kilman, so that's my answer. Son to Foden next game week instead of this game week? Not a bad shout, to be fair. I think Son is still right up there in terms of the captaincy. However, I'd probably do it, but just not for a hit. Should I sell Son or roll my second transfer? It depends who you sell him for, Yazid, but in terms of replacements, I would say Foden, Bukayo Saka, potentially Jared Bowen, Mason Mount, but I wouldn't do it this week. And the other one is De Bruyne as a like-for-like replacement. So those are my kind of top replacements for Son. Would I do it this week? If it's for free and you're doing it to Foden, for example, then I would. But of course, it can definitely backfire. We're talking about a quality player here. Van Dijk or Trent in? Trent is my preference. How do you get the away kits? It's a Chrome extension, anonymous. So if you type in literally FPL away kits Chrome extension, you'll find it. I think the creator is called Trout. Play Gay, Justin or Doherty. From those 3, I think I'd go for Justin, but it's really close. Start Ward or Pope? I'm going for Ward at the moment. Given it seems Trent isn't playing, -4 to Cancelo or field Gay over him. I would take a -4 to Cancelo because you can haul this game. Also, a great option until Gameweek 16. City have the best fixtures. And if you have no City coverage defensively, then what are you waiting for? I think Cancelo is the best defender in the game. Yeah, Aaron, we don't really have a Liverpool lineup per se, but the one I read out earlier didn't contain the likes of Nunez. Okay, yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know why. It's kind of annoying. Basically, I have to go on OBS, I have to go on the actual program I'm using, and I have to change it with the hotkeys. It doesn't work. It's kind of tough to explain, but basically the hotkeys are a bit buggy, and it's something that's happened even at home, so I need to sort that out. I'm kind of getting used to using the Stream Deck, so thank you for pointing that out. I didn't want to not have the webcam at that stage, so thank you. Would you do Mitrovic to Firmino? No, I think Mitrovic is a great value option. I'd keep him. Start Zuma or Trippier? Trippier. Close one though, really close. Sell Son for who? I have Foden, Zaha, Martinelli. Saka, if anything. But to be honest, Yazid, I'd keep Son for this week and then potentially get Saka next week. Thank you, Dave. I appreciate it. Mount or Maddison? My preference is Mason Mount up until Gameweek 16, but maybe not this week per se. Keep Wilson or sell for a -4? If sell, Tony or Jesus? I wouldn't be surprised. I've said I wouldn't be surprised a lot today, so I'm going to stop saying that. In my opinion, Wilson is a decent option, but it's worth doing a -4. However, when you're looking at these two options you presented, Tony is my favourite, but he's one yellow card away from suspension, sorry. And then Jesus, also the same thing, actually. So both of them could be a really big risk, and they're basically suspended for the next game after you bring them in. So honestly, I would probably kill Wilson because of that. And thank you very much, Marius, for that. Perisic, keep or sell? I'd probably sell, and who to sell for? Apart from Cancelo and Trippier, who you probably already have, I would consider probably an Arsenal defender, and I would go to maybe Ben White. Longstaff or Trossard? I would go for Trossard, actually, from those two this week. What to do with Nunez? It's a difficult one. If you have him, you start him. I wouldn't say get rid, but in my opinion, he doesn't start. And of course, a lot of predicted lineups as well are saying the same thing. Looks like it's still impossible to sell Son next game because he's facing Bournemouth. Yeah, that is true. That is a really good point. And it's kind of a now or never situation in that way. Otherwise, you have to wait maybe 2 weeks. And by then, you know, most of Foden and Saka's kind of hauls will be done. And you wouldn't want Saka ahead of Chelsea, I think, despite him having a decent record against them. Thoughts on Ben White? He's actually the next defender I'm looking to bring in. He's a really good choice. Got a bit of assist threat as well. Play Webster or do a -4 for who? I would take a -4 and I would go to either Trippier, Cancelo, maybe a second City defender if you want, or an Arsenal defender like Ben White. Iwobi or Guimaraes? Good question. This week, I would go for Iwobi. Zaha to Foden for a -4. I already own Saka. Yes, I would. I would take a -4. Solanke to Firmino for a -4. Yes, I would. Just bear in mind, possible rotation, but I think Firmino starts. Haaland triple captain, thoughts? I think there will be better opportunities later on in the season. However, I said this against United, and then he got 23 points or something ridiculous like that. So it's a difficult one, but I'd probably save it. Can't afford Cancelo, getting Ben White instead. Yeah, that's completely fair enough. Try to get Cancelo, though, if you can, in the weeks to come. Really good option. Obviously, very highly owned, but also a bit of a shield pick, and he's just a fantastic choice. Thank you, by the way, for another Super Chat, Marius. You don't have to. Thank you very much. Doherty, Kilman, Justin. Start one or replace one for a -4. From those three, I would start Justin. I don't think you need to take a -4 because you have two options that will start, and you've got another one in Doherty who, if he does start, which is maybe a bit more unlikely, he has a great chance of returns. By the way, very quickly, let me check Twitter and see if I've got any more predicted lineups for you. By the way, for those of you that aren't aware, we do have 47 minutes left for the deadline, and here we go. We've got the lineups, the predicted lineup anyway, from Paul O'Keefe. So let me change the screen here first. Okay, there we go, and we'll do this. Okay, so this is Paul O'Keefe's predicted Spurs lineup. Of course, he could get some stuff wrong. So Lloris in goal. As you can see, the first GIF, that's a reaction to Emerson Real, who is predicted to start, and I think the same thing. Romero, Dyer, Lenglet, Sessegnon, Højbjerg, Bissouma, Bentancur, Kane, and Heung-min Son. I think Kulusevski is actually a doubt up until the World Cup, basically, so he could also be out. So many injuries happening, which is a big shame, of course, even to players who aren't actually going to feature in this year's World Cup, but yeah, if he was fit and available, the same goes for Richarlison, you would expect a 3-4-3 instead. But yeah, I have to say, this is also what I'm predicting in terms of the starting lineup. Let's wait and see. I mean, I wouldn't completely discount Doherty, but in my opinion, Emerson does start over him. And Sessegnon over Perisic is actually it's already been reported from yesterday, and that is definitely more likely, I think, than Doherty. But yeah, that is the predicted lineup. Let me know your thoughts. Trippier or Johnny, who to start? I would go for Trippier. Start Edison or Ward? Honestly, I'd go for Edison. Who to get instead of James? An Arsenal defender, because obviously the kind of usual suspects, Cancelo and Trippier, you probably already have. If you don't, what are you waiting for, I'd say. Zaha out, Saka in. I might do that here, actually, Jay, really late on. I'm actually kind of feeling it, the closer we get to the deadline. He's been absolutely fantastic, Saka. Really good performances. He's getting the goals and assists as well. Honestly, I'd probably still do it, Jay, especially for free. Alisson in goal? If you have Alisson, I'd start him for sure. Is it worth downgrading one of Tony or Mitrovic to an under 6 million forward to get Saka instead of going Martinelli? Honestly, look, it's not a bad idea what you're saying. It's a good idea on paper, but I personally would keep the likes of Tony and Mitrovic and get Martinelli in rather than bringing in Saka. Welcome, Leanne. Good to see you. Sorry about that, by the way. Jesus, I got excited. Hope you well. Thanks for taking the time to make this week's stream possible. Much appreciated. Thank you, Leanne. Obviously, it's no worries. I do enjoy this and all of that. And after this, I will make sure to enjoy the scenery. But yes, thank you very much. And there will probably be, hopefully, one more stream this week. None of the reaction streams and stuff like that. I think we'll leave that more so when I come back. And there will be reaction streams every single week from that point. But yeah, deadline streams is the priority. I won't be able to do the Gameweek 14 one because I'm literally traveling around the same time, but every other deadline stream, hopefully, will go ahead. I appreciate the kind words. Will Cucurella start? I believe so. Abhishek. Hey, Dylan just joined. Start Doherty, Justin, Anderson. From those three, I would probably go for Justin. It's a really close call. And if it was Castagna, I think I'd definitely go for him over the other two. And the holiday's going well. Thank you very much for asking. I will be back fairly soon anyway, so don't you worry. Yeah, I was away. I am away, actually. So I'm a bit of a kind of improvised spot when I'm streaming. I don't even want to describe, the kind of lengths I'm going to get the stream ahead, but it doesn't matter. We're going to now go back to my team. I have to do this a bit. Okay, ooh, not too bad, not too bad. Without a stream deck, not too shabby. Trippier or Emerson? I'd go to Trippier. Mount or Saka? Bukayo Saka. Trippier or Romero to start? I would go for Trippier. KDB to Salah for a -4 hit? No, I wouldn't do it for a hit. -4 trusted out to bring in Eze and Saka? Sorry, yes, I would. I would do that. Mount to Saka or Wilson to Firmino for a -4? I think Wilson to Firmino has the higher upside. I would do that instead. But having said that, I do prefer Saka over Mount, but would I take a hit for it? Not ideally, to be honest. Especially with the injury doubt, so to speak. Should I take a hit to transfer Perisic to Saliba to fund Trussell to Foden? Yes, I would, Daniel. Would you take Firmino for Jesus for a -4? Not this week. I'd probably just do that next week, if anything. Jesus hasn't looked that good in recent games. He played well against PSV, but against Leeds, really poor. Just came back kind of from the concussion, suffered against Liverpool. But he hasn't been that great, especially from an FPL perspective. Having said that, against Southampton, I would keep. I think he's done really well in the past. I'm pretty sure he scored the goal for City against Southampton that secured the Centurion point mark for them. Bench 1, Doherty, Cucurella, Trippier. I would bench Doherty. I don't think he starts. Of course, I could be wrong. It's just my opinion. Tony or Solanke? Ivan Tony. Should I play Doherty or Dalot? I would risk it with Doherty, but in my opinion, he doesn't start. And maybe you're looking at a 1-pointer from Doherty versus a 2-pointer from Dalot. Really. Should I take a hit to get an Arsenal defender or Castagna? I would take a hit to get an Arsenal defender if he can. It's a really good move up until Gameweek 16. Also on Bailey, one of the better kind of budget options, but yeah, he's not really someone I'd prioritize in terms of bringing in. And if I had him, I would still most likely bench him for most players. Dalot or Ben White? Ben White this week for me. James to Ben White, really good move, John. Grealish and Alvarez will play. I think Grealish does. I'm not sure about Alvarez, but you could be onto something. Tomiyasu's situation. He's actually the defender that's kind of least likely to start, I could say. It could be Tierney coming in, who's been really good in recent games against PSV, against Leeds when he came on, against Bodo Glint. And with Tomiyasu, he has struggled a little bit in possession. He's two-footed, but it's a bit awkward for him because he always wants to kind of cut in a little bit on his right. He's used to playing on the right-hand side. A really good feature of Tomiyasu. He's not great going forward, but what he does do is get out of tight situations with intricate passing, and he's not able to do that on the left-hand side. So honestly, I think he could be benched for Tierney this week. And yeah, I think if anything, Ben White, Saliba and Gabriel are the more nailed-on defenders. Tony as captain, not a bad shout. I don't think I'd go there, though. Rashford to Saka, Foden for a -4. Yes, I would. Don't get me wrong, Rashford could do well this week, but I would do it, and Foden is my preference. Pope or Ward in goal, I have gone for Ward out of those two. By the way, oh, that was bad. Let me know if I just lagged there, by the way, because literally it said 0 in terms of the bitrate, which is not what you want to see. The last time I saw that, I had a power cut on holiday and the stream went dead. Undisclosed location, Dylan. I'll just say sunny Spain. Sunny Spain. Right now it's actually a bit cloudy, but yeah, sunny Spain. Pick one, Gabriel, Saliba, or White. White is my preference. That's what I'm looking to do next week. But they're all good. They have their different pros and cons. So Saliba, most points so far this season. I think he's the best in terms of bonus points. Ben White is the best in terms of assist threat. And Gabriel is the best in terms of goals potential. Saka or Foden from -4, I'd say Foden. Really good record against Brighton. And look, Saka's also a really good choice, but I would prefer Foden. Is Robertson playing? It's not completely confirmed, but most predicted lineups have Robertson starting. Saliba or Trossard? Saliba. Trippier or Gay? Trippier. Trossard to Saka or Foden, please. I would go to Foden. No, not Marbella. I've never been, actually, but I want to go one day, if possible. Who would you sell, Mount or Antony, to Saka or Foden? I mean, I like the look of Antony, even hit the post against Spurs. You know, I have to say, I kind of criticized the signing, but so far he has looked good, especially in terms of the shots and, you know, how dangerous he looks in front of goal. I would still keep Mount, though, over Antony. Trossard to Martinelli? Yes, John, I would do it. Dylan, keep Darwin in, hoping for 20 minutes or start Edouard. I would keep Darwin in, I think. It's really risky, though. Really risky, I have to say that. Who to bring in for Maddison or keep him? Foden or Saka, Andy. Another one is Bowen. And long-term Mason Mount, but I would mainly look at the likes of Foden or Saka in that order. Nunez or Firmino? This week I prefer Firmino. I think he's more likely to start. I'm going to Spain next week. Enjoy the rest of your holiday, man. Thank you, Jazabi. I hope you enjoy your holiday. Safe travels as well. And literally next week I come back, so kind of a substitution. Trippier or Gay? Trippier. Hillman to White or Supal to Gay? I would do... Oh, good question. Hillman to White looks better. Raya or Ward? I think I'd go for Raya. You know, really impressive recently. I like the look of Brentford in the last few games. Sorry, Harry, I didn't mean to. I'll try to get your message up. If I can't find it, then just put it up again. It will be fine. I think I just see you. Anfield edition, James Milner starts. People with Trent should be worried. It does make sense because, you know, against Ajax, that's where they probably really want Trent to play in. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be too surprised. And Milner was exceptional against City. You know, I thought he could be really targeted by Foden. In the end, he played really well. Thank you for that, Harry. I didn't mean to miss it. Trippier or Zaha? This week, I would start Zaha from those two. Zaha to Bernardo? I like Bernardo, but no, I wouldn't do that. Also, Captain Cancelo. He's actually my favorite defender to captain this week, and he would be in my top 5 or 6 captaincy options overall. If you had Nunez, who would you sell him for? Difficult one. Probably Mitrovic. If you already got him, then fair enough. Then it's kind of a difficult one. Probably just Harry Kane or upgrading, basically. Because the likes of Tony and Jesus, they're 1 yellow card away from suspension. I wouldn't recommend them too much. Is it risky to captain Salah over Haaland? Yes, especially if, for example, Nunez starts and Salah is hogging the touchline. But if I had to really guess, I think Salah plays down the middle, Nunez is benched. And if that's the case, he has a great chance of returns. Kane, Jesus, or Darwin for the next 4? Probably Harry Kane still. And also Spurs are the highest in terms of the fixture ticker. Harry Kane. Castagna, Andreas, or Almiron to start? Castagna. Start Kepa or Ward? Probably Ward. It's a really close one, though. Foden or Zaha? Foden. Start Andreas or Trossard, says Marcus. I would start Andreas. Start Perisic, Soufal, Bailey, or Pereira? I would start either Soufal or Pereira, and I would probably go for Pereira because I'm not completely sure about Soufal starting. Gaeta or Ward? From those two, yeah, Ward, like I said earlier. Who to start, Gay or White? White. Start Trippier or Cucurella? Trippier, John. Is Trossard plus Kane to Salah Mitrovic for a -8 worth it? I mean, getting rid of Trossard, yes, is worth it, and you are improving it overall, but getting rid of Kane doesn't sit right with me for a -8. But yes, the transfers in itself are worth it. Is Scamacca to Tony worth a -4? I will not get rid of Scamacca to Tony, honestly. Like I said, Tony 1 yellow card away from suspension. Scamacca is facing Bournemouth. I wouldn't do it. Doherty to Cancelo or Andreas to Foden? That's a great question. Probably Doherty to Cancelo. Play Sarr or Ward? Probably Sarr. Cucurella or Doherty to start? I would go for Cucurella. Aman, welcome. I'm transferring out Trossard, but I don't know who for, Martinelli or Saka. I mean, Saka is the informed player of the two, but he's also a bit of an injury doubt. Martinelli also offers better value for money. Really close call, but I would probably go... You know what? I'd still risk it and go for Saka, but both are fine. Whoever you go for, you should be good. Mount or Foden? Foden, Mickey. Sanchez or Henderson to start? I go for Henderson this week. On a wildcard, will Saka and Doherty start? I believe Saka starts, and once again, I say believe. I don't think the injury is serious. As for Doherty, in my opinion, he's benched for Emerson Real. As for you, who should be your goalkeeper? On a wildcard, I would go for Kepa and Ward. That would be my goalkeeper pairing, and you have more money to spend in other positions. Good to see you, Safir. Robertson and Trossard to Saliba and Foden? Yes, I would. Obviously, Robertson could start, and that could be a bit frustrating, but honestly, I would do it. Start Anderson or Trippier? I would go for Trippier. And that's what I'm doing right now. Yeah, Milner starts. Yeah, we're getting a lot of kind of rumours and murmurings about that. Some of these questions, by the way, I have answered like Muslim. I have said that Trippier is my preference. Hopefully you got it. Kane, Silva, and Bailey to Foden, Cancelo, and Solanke. Yes, but getting rid of Kane doesn't sit right with me, but it does fund the other two moves, which are exceptional. Thoughts on Dalot this game week? I don't really expect a clean sheet or an attack and return, but, you know, he's the best United defender to have. I think Salah will explode. I wouldn't say he's a perfect captain, but he is a good choice this week, especially if Nunez is benched, which is what we predict. Sell Andreas or Almiron to Foden, or just start one of them and don't buy Foden. Right now, got one free transfer and 4 million in the bank. Great question. I would sell... Great question. I would probably sell Andreas if you can. Zaha plus Perisic to Foden and White for -4 thoughts. Honestly, you know, Zaha's a good option until the World Cup, but it's worth the -4. Great transfers, Wei-Seng. I think you look really good there. Saka or Zaha for this game week? Saka. Will Saka play? I believe so, Rodrigo. Game week 14 thoughts. Salah to KDB and Mitrovic to Jesus. Assuming that Jesus goes through this game unscathed, no yellow card and no suspension, yes, it looks really good to me. Obviously, you have to be a bit careful in terms of chopping and changing premiums, but still looks good. Start Cucurella or Share? I would start Cucurella. Trossard and Perisic out for Foden and White, me for a -4. I'd go for White, Sefer, and yes, it's worth it. Start Gay or Solanke? I would start Gay. Best 3.9 million at the back. There's not really anyone. There was Totti, but with Collins returning from suspension, that was always going to be the case that he could miss out. On wildcard, Kepa or Raya? Both good options, but I would go for Kepa. Due to Aston Villa poor form and them just losing the manager after a big loss, I think Tony could be a great captaincy punt, especially considering his great form and the quick turnaround between game weeks. Yes, I do agree. Obviously, it can go both ways, and there could be a managerial bounce even with an interim. So that could also happen as well. Welcome, Arthur. Yeah, it's good to see you as well. Thank you very much for saying that. Play Ward or Pope? I'm going for Ward. So that's the way I'm kind of going about it. Newcastle have a good defense, only one loss all season, and they could frustrate Spurs. But would I double up on the defense? Not ideally, so I'm probably going to balance it out and go for Ward. Start Gay, Trippier, or Azpilicueta? I would go for Trippier. Yeah, terrific. I think Saka starts, and as for Robertson, I think so as well, but I'm less convinced about that. I think we've covered all of that, so now let's go down. Which two of the three should I play? Trippier and Zaha, in my opinion, TC. Play Ward or Pope? Yeah, hopefully you got that. You pronounced my name so right. By the way, why Trippier? Thank you. Sometimes I do get it wrong, I have to say that. Why Trippier? Because he's only blanked twice all season, and he can also, you know, score from free kicks, get assists. He's also a bonus points machine, and I wouldn't be that surprised if Newcastle kept a clean sheet, but I don't have enough confidence in that happening to double up with Pope as well. But Trippier is the second best defender in the game behind Cancelo, for sure. Best defender with 4.9 million budget, if White, Trippier, Cancelo, and Nico Williams were already owned. Great question. I'd probably look towards someone like Chalobah or Joe Gomez, I'd say. Start Tomiyasu, Solanke, or Cucurella? I would start Tomiyasu, but bear in mind he could be benched. What do you think of doing Pope to Kepa to get more funds? If it's for free Jason, I would do it. No Liverpool asset, Perisic to Liverpool defender for a hit. The thing is, though, we just don't know what Liverpool are going to do. You know, Trent is predicted to be benched. A lot of rumours are saying that he's going to be benched for Milner. Robertson, predicted to start, he could be the one, but then in future weeks, it could be Tsimikas starting in the Premier League. So it's a difficult one. But yes, a -4 to Gomez or Robertson would be worth it this week. Just bear in mind there could be rotation in the weeks to come. I have Romero, Trippier, and Solanke on my bench, but I'm starting Andreas Mitchell and Zuma. Smart idea. I like it. I mean, the one thing I would change personally is Trippier in for Mitchell, but it's completely fine. Dyer or Gomez? I'd go for Joe Gomez this week. Start Maddison or Gomez? I'd still go for Maddison, I think. I think I'll just keep Pope. My second goalie is Iverson. Yeah. And either way, let's say, for example, you did start Iverson. If he didn't start, it does the substitution automatically, so it's completely up to you, but that's fine. Thank you for the shout out as well. I appreciate it. Trent benched. Yep, it does look like it as well. Here's a link for clean sheet odds for those that need him. Thank you as well, John, for all the links you provided. Sorry, I appreciate it. I will have a look at this website in the weeks to come too. So I do appreciate this. So yeah, we can go through this quickly. So let's go here. Oh, okay, that transition probably looked really laggy. I just saw the bar there, but anyway. So clean sheet probability, Man City, Liverpool, West Ham, Arsenal, and Everton completing the top 5. I mean, the ones that are at the bottom, the ones you really want to avoid, Nottingham Forest, Brighton, Southampton, Bournemouth, and Newcastle. So there you go. And thank you for that. Like I said, I will be using this website in the future as well, potentially. And we can use it as well when talking about clean sheet probabilities, basically. So yeah, that's something else to think about. And in terms of Trent news, if you have any kind of links for Trent, then be sure to let me know. But yeah, it looks like Trent is going to be benched today. Yeah, I'm seeing it everywhere. It does look like he's going to be benched. Yeah. See anything else? All right, yeah. Trent, it looks like he's going to be benched. I'm seeing on Twitter. All right, yeah, James Milner starts today by Anfield Edition as well. Yeah, so just going to get this tweet up quickly just so you know I'm not making it up. I'm not trolling or anything like that. So this is, yeah. Let me just bring up the tweet quickly. There you go. So James Milner does start today, it looks like, and Trent is going to be benched. All right, let's close this. All right, let's go back to your questions. Raya or Ward? I would go for Raya. Let's see a few other things we had. Harry, what do you think about one premium draft on wildcard? I don't really hate it, and you could have a really balanced squad as a result, but, what would you do with the extra money? That would be my, kind of thoughts on it. Yeah, I don't like Salah that much either, when he does play on the right-hand side and just hogging the touchline, but I still like, Kane a lot, for example, and De Bruyne. And I think Harry Kane is the go-to, second premium, so to speak. But yeah, Harry, if you can see big upgrades and you can really build a team that you want up until the World Cup, then I would do it. I would just go for one. Score predictions for this week's games. I'll do that very, very soon. Remind me to do that. Good morning, the Flying Dutchman. Zaha to Saka Martinelli for a hit. I think it's worth it. Yeah, Flying Dutchman. And Saka, if he starts, which I think he will, I think he is the one to go to in terms of a -4. Then you asked earlier if I was short on money. If I went Son to Salah, yes, 0.4 million. That's fair enough. Kind of a difficult one. I mean, based on all the predicted lineups and also my gut feeling about Nunez being benched, then I think the hit is potentially worth it, to be fair. It's just typically I don't like hits for goalkeepers. You know my stance on that. What about Darwin and Firmino? I think, well, we don't have any confirmation about that, but I think Firmino will start and Darwin will be benched. Yep, Ollie, Ben White in. Great transfer. What do you think about Trossard and Perisic out and White Salah in? Really like it, Fran. I would do it. Obviously, Salah, a lot of money for kind of the inconsistency of playing down his best position and stuff like that, but it's worth it. Ben White in. Sorry, I just said that. Hi, Dylan. Start Andres or Castagna? I would probably go for Castagna. Triple captain Salah? No, I wouldn't do that, but honestly, go and back your gut because you could be onto something. Let me now go back to my team and yeah, hopefully no lag. But yeah, as long as we're here, still live, not too shabby, but I'm not going to try tempt fate. Start Justin or Gay. Already have Ward in goal. I would go for Justin. Bruno Guimaraes just had a son. No doubt for playing. Just saying, yeah, that is a good point. I actually wasn't aware of that. Foden or Saka for a hit? Foden. Also, Ronaldo walk-off. I can understand, his perspective, being frustrated. You're one of the greatest players of all time and, you're kind of approaching the end of your career. You're playing in a team in transition and you can't even get starts. You're in a big game, which you typically make an impact on. But having said all that, it is wrong what he did. He knows it. And it's kind of like, we're all human, we will make mistakes, and the emotions can get the better of us. But, it kind of does play into the narrative that he's egotistical, that he's not a team player and all of that. Look, I understand, his perspective, but at the same time, he shouldn't have done it. And I think Ten Hag has made the right decision. That's kind of my take on it. I'm not sitting on the fence, just kind of my 2 cents on it. Play Wilson or Gay, I would go for Gay. Jesus to Mitrovic, Tony and Maddison to Salah on a free. Yes, I would do it. Just bear in mind, Tony is 1 yellow card over suspension, just like Jesus. But yeah, great transfer, Sammy. Ward or Pope, I'm going for Ward, but both are fine. With Trent bench, 2 to start from Trossard, Bailey and Webster. You'd probably look at Bailey from those 3. If not Trossard, who's the best option overall. Start Justin or Gay. I think I answered that already, Charlie. Start Kilman or Gay. I would go for Gay. Should I get rid of Trent if I'm on a wild card because he's benched? I probably would. Long term, you might want him, but it's worth going for someone else. Son as captain, I mean, it's not a bad shout. He has a decent record against Newcastle, but I haven't seen enough from him to go for a captaincy. Only 1 game in the Premier League where he really shone, and in the rest he's been poor. Gay or Kilman? Yeah, I'd go for Gay. Doherty to Gabriel or White? Both are fine, but I would go for White. I'm going to put a quick poll out. I'll see what you guys think as well. I think, yeah, that should be fine. So, yeah, that's going to be the poll. That should all be good. But, yes, I might take a hit, by the way, very late on and get Saka in. Wait, did I just say Sake? Oh, Jesus Christ, I'm an idiot. Anyway, I knew there probably was rushed or something, but, yeah. You know who I'm on about. Not Saka, Japanese Saka. Or, yeah, Saka. Ronaldo refused to come on as well. Yeah, that's also something else that came out over the last day or so. Obviously, that is wrong, like I said, and you shouldn't do that. But... I do understand his position or his kind of thoughts on that. Thank you, Aru. Great content. Start Solanke or Andreas. I would start Andreas. Aru. Start Andreas or Solanke. I'd go for Andreas. Will Perisic start, Dylan? I don't believe so. Ashish, I think he's benched. Is Nunez starting? We don't know, but I believe he won't start. Should I keep Trossard? It depends, because if you can do Trossard to an Arsenal midfielder, or you can go to Foden, I would do that, to be honest. Activate the free hit by mistake. Any advice? Unfortunately, the free hit is irreversible, just like the wild card. So what to do with a free hit? I would load up on Liverpool, Arsenal, and City players this week if you can. And also maybe get 1 or 2 Spurs players like Kane, for example. Look, it could be a blessing in disguise somehow. Try to be positive about it, but obviously it's not ideal. Start Trossard or Andreas. I would go for Andreas this week. Anyone get filled up by donuts in Gameweek 12? Managed to have Bowen and Bailey with Ward waving at me on the bench. Yeah, that is annoying. I mean, that's FPL for you sometimes. Son to Saka or Bowen from -8? Great question. Saka. I think up until Gameweek 16, he would be my preference. Japanese Saka is better than Saka with samurai swords. Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, probably. I mean, I can't believe I wrote that, by the way. It might have auto-corrected, but that's still my fault. Most attacking nailed Arsenal defender. Most nailed and attacking, I'd say Gabriel. He's got the biggest goal threat. He's a great presence from set pieces, and he's also the most nailed from the free. Just signed a new contract. However, with Gabriel, just like Sefir asks, who are the players that are 1 yellow card away from suspension? Gabriel, Saliba, Ivan Toney, Gabriel Jesus. Those are 4 that already come to mind, and a few others I'm trying to think of. I think there are others, but I just can't remember off the top of my head. But those 4... literally 1 more yellow card, and they are going to be suspended. By the way, let me know if the stream is all good. Hopefully it is. I have seen the red flag, basically, a lot of times. Interesting to see so many of you saying no in terms of doing Zaha to Saka for a hit. It would be. But it is understandable, your perspective. So if you do have any more questions or anything like that, then be sure to let me know. But yeah, we will be wrapping up fairly soon. We've got literally 22 minutes left for the deadline. And let's see how we are getting along. So we still have over 100 people watching. Let's try to get this stream to over 100 likes. It'd be greatly appreciated. And we are also looking to do the UCL Fantasy Matchday 5 stream on Tuesday, hopefully. Around a similar time as usual. And yeah, no more streams then until Sunday or Tuesday of the following week. But yeah, let's try to get the stream to 100 likes. It'd be greatly appreciated. And we are also very close to 16,000 subscribers if we haven't already reached it. So if you haven't already, you know what to do. And it'd be greatly appreciated to reach that milestone today. Let's see how we are going along. Yeah, we're literally 12 away in terms of subscribers. So if you haven't already, you know what to do. And if you've got any more questions, then be sure to let me know. Let's see. Okay, that's kind of weird. Okay, let me... I don't know why that's happened. Yeah, sorry about that, lads. So basically my the live chat just stuck and I was waiting for new messages and it wasn't loading up. So let's skim through these now. Zaha looking for big six move. Yeah, I mean, he has been for a long time, to be fair, Wei-Sing. So let's try to go through this. Oh, geez, I missed out on a lot of questions. That is annoying. Is Jesus starting? Yes, he will. I'd be very surprised if he didn't. Best midfielder instead of Foden in the same price range? I'd say Saka. And if not, there's also Bowen, but it would be Saka. Trossard and James to Foden and White for -4. Yes, I would do that role. Kane or Nunez? Kane. Any chance to get Liverpool line up before the FPL window closes? We could get it on Twitter. It's a possibility. We're already getting some murmurings, of Trent being benched, Milner starting, but yeah, I wouldn't count on it. I've played the wrong keeper for the last 4 weeks. I've probably played it for the last year, basically, the whole season so far. I have Robertson. Will he start? I believe so. Start Mount or Solanke? I'd probably go for Mason Mount. Trossard to Odegaard or Xhaka? Probably Xhaka, actually. Would you go for Tony or stretch to Firmino? I do prefer Tony, but with Harry, like I said earlier, the 1 yellow card away from suspension really puts me off. You said it as well. It is a bit frustrating, but he still would be my preference. It's just really risky. Raya or Ward? I would go for Raya. Why Trippier better than Gay to start? Because he's just he gets points from so many different avenues. The attacking potential, the bonus points. He's only blanked twice all season, so it's completely up to you. And also Crystal Palace haven't kept that many clean sheets. Do I need to drink plenty of sake to justify Saka over Foden this week? Good question. I wouldn't say so. I think Saka's got a good chance of getting a good return as well. Pretty similar to Foden. But if I had to pick one, it would be Foden, and that's why I've done that move as well. Thank you, John. I appreciate it. Any news about Saka? Literally just what we heard yesterday from Arteta. I think in the embargoed press conference. It's nothing too serious. He picked up a knock, and he's hoping he's going to be available, and my feeling is he will be. Start Justin or Anderson? I would go for Justin. Bowen to Martinelli and Supar to White for a -4. I wouldn't do Bowen to Martinelli this week, mate, Vic. As much as I prefer Martinelli, I wouldn't do it for a hit. Hi, Dylan. Start Eze or Aronson? I would go for Eze. Share or Doherty? I would go for Doherty, Kiro, but Doherty is expected to be benched, so bear that in mind. It could be a 1-pointer for both. Captain Van Dijk? I wouldn't, but honestly, it's not the worst shout in the world. Tony to Jesus? I'd keep Tony. Almiron versus Zaha, who's the better player now? I still think Zaha, but Almiron's been exceptional this season. I have to say that. Firmino or Nunez? Firmino this week. Kane or Salah? I still prefer Kane as an option. Idle and start Justin or Trippier. Have Kane versus Newcastle. I would start Justin. Start Ward or Gaeta. I would go for Ward. Todo bien. Gracias, Safir. Start Zuma or Trippier. I mean, look, Zuma has a better chance of a clean sheet, but I think I'd still go for Trippier. For captain, Kane, Tony Van Dijk, Trossard, I would go for Kane. Start Dyer or Gay, I would go for Dyer. Son or Salah? Salah. Dylan, captain and vice captain this week. It's on screen, so my captain will be Haaland and my vice will be Salah. Very boring stuff. Hi, Dylan. Which one to bench? Can Cucurella, Trippier, Gay? I would bench Cucurella from those three. Should I take another -4 hit from Darwin to Firmino? I mean, it could be worth it, but it's really risky either way, and Nunez in the weeks to come could be a fabulous option. I'm not sure about a hit, but I do recognise that this weekend can pay off. So it's literally just down to you. If you think Nunez is benched and Firmino starts, and you're really confident of a haul, go for it, I'd say. Yeah, Tony to Jesus, I wouldn't do it. Son or Salah, like I said, I'd go for Salah. Start Trippier or Bowen? Bowen. I wouldn't bench Bowen this week. Trossard to Rice? No, I wouldn't do that. Zaha or Barnes with Maddison? Zaha. Start Kilman. It depends who you start him over, Hill. Andreas or Wilson for this game week? I would go for Andreas. Start Dallo or Perisic? Probably Dallo because Perisic is not going to start, it looks like. Obviously, let's wait and see. Free at the back, the way forward. At the moment, yes. But it could slowly shift over time. And I wouldn't be surprised if we now want to go 4 at the back at some point. I think 5 will be a step too far, though. Captain Firmino, honestly, I really like that. It's probably the best differential captaincy this week. Yep. Uncle De Silva. I'd go for De Silva. Honestly, not really expecting anything from any of them. Start Anderson or Trippier. I'd go for Trippier. Gay or Perisic. I'd go for Gay. Foden loves to score against Brighton. Yes, is his favourite opponent. That's a good point. White or Perisic? White. Trippier or Højbjerg? I'd go for Trippier. Checked stats yesterday and saw Gabriel has just 1 yellow card. Also, Saliba and Jesus only one from Arsenal on 4 yellows. I have to double check that. I thought he was 1 yellow card away from suspension. I'll check that already. We're not talking about Martinelli, by the way. We're talking about this Gabriel. So I think he's got 4 yellows. Yeah, he does. So he picked up a yellow card in... No, actually, you're right. Well done, Dylan. For some reason, I thought it was 1 yellow card from suspension. I think I heard the wrong thing. I saw a podcast recently and they were talking about it. So that's my mistake. I appreciate the correction. And it's quite surprising, actually, because Gabriel has been seen as the shakier of the two. But it's actually Saliba, like you said, who's the one that's at risk of suspension. So thank you for the correction. I appreciate it. I don't like giving out wrong information. Is Joe Gomez nailed? So long as Konate and Matip aren't fully fit, yes. That won't be the case, all season. And I think Matip is back in early November. And Konate, I think he's already available. Is Jesus starting? Yes. I'd be surprised if he didn't. Kane captain, no problems with it. Start Thiago Silva or Andreas. I would go for Andreas. Should I play Solanke or Gay? I would go, for Gay. Start Anderson or Trippier. Like I said already, I'd go for Trippier. I would start White over Rashford for him. Andreas, Trossard or Dallo, who to start? I'd go for Andreas. Darwin or Firmino? Firmino. Start Thiago Silva, Andreas. Like we said already, I'd go for Andreas. Mount out for Saka, Eze, Bernardo or Partey? Partey definitely no. It has to be Saka for me. Should I play Solanke or Gay? Yeah, a lot of these questions have been repeated, by the way, so be sure to check out the answers. Like I said, I'd go for Gay. Without considering price tag, who do you think is the better option between Saliba and White? White. I mean, it's a difficult one to say. Saliba has more points so far this season. He's got more goal threat. But Ben White, has the assist threat. He's linking up well on the right-hand side with Saka. It's really close stuff. I think in terms of excluding value from it, they're both really good. I'd go for White, though, because Saliba's literally 1 yellow card away from suspension. So I'd go for the same thing. Yeah. All right, so let's see what else we have. Liverpool lineup leaked. I'm not sure if we've got any leaked lineups. If there is anything, then let me know. Play Andreas or Solanke, I'd go for Andreas. 8.2 million midfield instead of Trossard, I would go for Saka. And thoughts on Pickford for the next few game weeks. Decent choice. He's not the best one, I think. I would rather go for Kepa, but he is a decent choice. Start free. So basically the one to bench, it would be probably Trippier in that case. Yeah, Mickey, I'd bench Trippier. No, Darwin is not nailed, Palden. Start Mings or Andreas, I would go for Andreas. -8 for Thiago Silva for Cancelo. Would I take a hit for Thiago Silva to Cancelo? Yes, I would. Ward or Martinez in goal? I would go for Ward. Salah will smash today, guys, yeah. But then you've got the Gandhi quote, as people say, never trust the early kickoff, never back it. Let's wait and see. It was the other Gabriel who had 4 yellows. Yeah, I was aware of Gabriel Jesus, like I said earlier, but I thought Gabriel also had 4 yellow cards. I was convinced he got a yellow card against Spurs for the penalty he conceded, but he didn't. White is nailed, surely, yes. I believe so. He started every single game this season, and even some Europa League games. Is Trent benched? Yes. Lungani, it looks like it, and it will be Milner starting in his place. Captain Salah or Haaland? I think I'd go for Salah, because I think Nunez is benched, but of course, if he ends up playing on the right-hand side, I'd definitely change my opinion there. You're still able to watch the games at your trip? Yes, obviously, sometimes I'm out when the games are on. Also, 1 hour time difference. But yes, I am able to watch some games. I watched Arsenal against PSV the other day. Tony won a yellow card or in suspension. Yes, exactly. Same with Gabriel Jesus and Saliba. Ward or Raya? I would go for Raya this week. Selling Barnes to Foden. Yes, it's worth a -4. Saka in for Maddison for -4. I'd probably do it this week, yeah. It's obviously a risk, but I'd do it. Best Reece James replacement right now, 1.4 million in the bank. Apart from the usual suspects, I'd say an Arsenal defender. Which 2 to start out of the 3? Basically, who would I bench? It'd be Andreas. Start Gordon or Gay? I would go for Gay. It could obviously go either way. Bench Doherty or Andreas? I would bench... I mean, at the moment, I'm going for Doherty above Andreas in the pecking order. I'm not too sure about that. Andreas or Almiron to Foden? I would probably do Andreas to Foden. Almiron's the better pick at the moment. So yeah, it looks like a lot of you are going against the -4 hit for Saka, but I have to say I'm really, really tempted to do it. Can you say Derby City will win the final? I technically just said it, but yeah. What final is this, by the way? I wasn't aware. Get Justin instead of Doherty then. I can afford Foden in for Trossard, all for a -4. Yeah, that's completely fine, Jasabi. Haaland or Salah captain. Yeah, in my personal opinion, it's Haaland. Let's see what the chat says. Is it time to sell Wilson? I believe so. Yeah. Like I said, you either sell him now, head of Tottenham, or maybe you just keep him up until the World Cup. Yeah, 10 minutes to go. We're really close. Probably Nunez not starting. I agree, Aaron. Start Pope or Ward this week. I'm going for Ward. Barnes to Foden for a -4. Is it worth it? Yes. By the way, let me know if I'm cutting out or anything, because a lot of these questions I have answered. Alex Iwobi has 0.7% ownership. Yes, he does, but I wouldn't expect consistency from him FPL-wise. Start Andreas or transfer out Saka, Foden for Trossard. I would get Foden or Saka in, Raja, for Trossard, yes. Solanke to Firmino or Trossard to Foden? I would do Trossard to Foden. Tony to Mitrovic for a hit? No, I wouldn't do that. Perisic or Gay? I'd start Gay this week. Pope to Risky? I mean, it's not a bad option, but it's just I don't expect a clean sheet necessarily, and I've already got Trippier starting. -4 Trossard to 6.5 million. I mean, who do you really have to go to? Rashford and Martinelli, and I think they're a bit more expensive, so honestly, I wouldn't do it. I'd wait until you have enough money to go up and upgrade him. Thoughts on Dallo? The best United defender to have, but would I start him this week? Not ideally. Gomez or White? I would go for Gomez this week out of those two. Zaha against Everton, though. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Everton are fairly decent defensively. They're not the worst. Hi, Dylan. Would you start bench between Gay and Dyer? I would bench Gay. And Ward on Gaeta. I would bench Gaeta. So I'd start Ward and Dyer. Start Ben White or Anderson. I would start Ben White. Gaeta or Ward. I would go for Ward. Start Solanke or Soufal. I would go for... probably go for Solanke, actually. Gabriel for hit. Is it worth it? If this is Gabriel the defender... yeah, I think it's worth a hit. Gabriel Jesus, I'm a bit concerned because of the suspension possibility. Play 1, Tsimikas, Gay, Kilman. I'd go for Tsimikas and risk it, but I'm not sure if he starts. I think Robertson does. Liverpool team news. Okay, yeah, we'll check that out. Will Saka play? I believe so, yes. Let's get this team news out. I think we've got this up, by the way. So let's get this lineup on screen. Got so many things up today. So yeah, just for those of you that aren't aware, it looks like Trent will be benched for James Milner. So yeah, according to Team News and Ticks, this will be the Liverpool lineup. Alisson, Milner, Gomez, Virgil, Robertson, Fabinho, Thiago, Elliott, Salah, Firmino, and Carvalho. And that means Salah could play down the middle. And good news potentially for Tsimikas owners in UCL Fantasy. So let me know. And it looks like, yeah, Cop HQ, which is a very reliable source, by the way. So let me know your thoughts on the lineup. Yeah, Trent is benched, it looks like. You still have a few minutes, by the way, to change him, potentially, if you want. Hope or Ward, we've got that question a lot today, but like I said, I'm going for Ward at the moment. Anderson or Mitrovic, I'd go for Mitrovic all day long. Yeah, Nunez and Trent benched. This is the problem, though, with some of these assets. Obviously, with Trent, I don't think this would have been the case in the seasons gone by. He started every single game pretty much. But with his form, also just coming back from an injury, it is understandable. Maddison or Andreas? Maddison. Or Maddison to Foden for a -4. I would do a -4 hit to Foden, but Maddison's fine. Should I sell Trent? I would, for free, for sure. It's amazing the amount of questions you get for each live sessions. I appreciate it. I do. Obviously, I try my very best, and it's a bit frustrating because I think I woke up with, you know, I always seem to have some issue recently, but yeah, it's all good. And thankfully, my voice hasn't been too bad so far. So it's been easier to do than I expected. Start Skamaka or Solanke? I'd start Skamaka. Wilson to Broja? No, because Aubameyang is the first choice forward. Do I play Wilson or Andreas? I would start Andreas. Start Raya or Ward? I would go for Raya. Son to Saka for a hit? No. And Anderson or Mitrovic? I'd go for Mitrovic. Start Skamaka or Solanke? Yeah, we've done that. First sub, Gay or Andreas? I would go for Gay. Dallo or Gay? I'd go for Gay. Thank you, FPL Diamond. I appreciate the kind words. Captain Salah then. I mean, it's definitely, you know, he's now in my second, he's second in terms of my captaincy ranking. So the way I'd rank the captaincy options this week is Alan first, Salah second, probably Kane third, Foden fourth, and in fifth place, probably Cancelo. I'm scared as a non-Salah or Liverpool owner. Yeah, I mean, I would also be quite scared if I didn't have Salah. I'm a bit more confident now going into this game, but doesn't mean he's guaranteed to score, so to speak. Maddison to who for a -4? I would go to Foden or Saka. Trossard to Saka for free or Foden for a -4? I would do Saka for free and then bring in Foden next week, potentially. Start Solanke or Anderson? I would go for Anderson. It's really close, though. I'd go for Trippier, Shahin. First sub, Gay or Gross? I would go for Gay, sorry. Start Andreas or Kilman for Solanke for a -4 and put in Mitrovic. I would probably do a -4 and put in Mitrovic, to be fair. But it's completely up to you. I don't think keeping Solanke and starting one of the other two is bad necessarily. I'm using my bench boost. Algorithm predicted 11 to 14 points. I mean, that would be a good bench boost, to be fair. Literally just the other week, I benched 22 points in Gameweek 11, which was very frustrating. Yeah, just like in my final team. Yes, everyone, lock in your teams. You never know what could happen. Thank you, Simon. I appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you in the next stream as well. Jesus for Mitrovic? No, I would keep Mitrovic. If you're saying it the other way round, then yeah, especially for free, I think it's worth it. Is it a good option to captain Salah? Yes, I think it is. He's most likely going to start up front. I'd be very surprised if he didn't. Really, really good chance of returns. -4 to bring Jesus in for Solanke. No, because he's one yellow card away from suspension. I wouldn't do it. Is Salah a somewhat differential captain? Yes, his effective ownership will be relatively low. He's probably going to be the second or third most popular captaincy option, but most people are going to go for Haaland. That's just the way it's going to go. What happened to Trent? Just rested for the Ajax game, really. That's pretty much it. Gay or Soufal? Gaeta or Ward? I would go for Soufal, although it's a risk and he might not start. And I would go for Ward. Trent and Trossard to Gabriel and Foden for a -4? Yes, I would do it. Is it a good option to captain Salah in this formation? Yes, it is, mate. What order should I bench? Perisic, Dunk, Gordon. Dunk will be last, that's for sure. It's probably either Perisic or Gordon first, and I'm not sure which one. Firmino for a -4? Honestly, I'm not opposed to that. Should I go for Salah instead of De Bruyne so I can get Foden in for Gameweek 15? Yes, I think it's worth it. Yeah, I would do that, Jeunesse. Raya or Ramsdale? I'd go for Ramsdale. Robertson or Gomez? Robertson. Ben White for Kilman Webster or Saka for Trossard? Saka for Trossard. Buena suerte también para vos, Sefer. -4 Mount to Foden. I would do it. Should I get Salah instead of De Bruyne? Yep, like I said, Jeunesse, I would do it. Hopefully you got that. Salah or Haaland captain? Like I said, I personally prefer Haaland still, but Salah is second. I would go for Ward over Pope, and I'll try to avoid that question because I've probably answered it 50 times today. Pope or Ward? Sorry, I just said that. Ramsdale, Raya? I would go for Ramsdale. Mount or Andreas on the bench? I would rather start Mount. Start Perisic or Gay? I would start Gay. I don't think Perisic starts. Yes, Hill, I think Saka starts. Is Edouard starting? I believe so, but honestly, you never know with the Crystal Palace attackers. Triple captain Haaland is not a bad idea, but I think there are better opportunities later on. Robertson or Van Dijk? Robertson. Start one between Aspie, Dalot, or Williams? I would probably go for... It's a close one. I would probably go for... Probably Aspilicueta. -4 Trossard for Saka. 8 million midfielder. I have Trent or just play Trossard or Bailey. I would take a -4 for Saka or Foden, Ayub. Should I put Trent on the bench and start Nico or Perisic? To be honest, though, I mean, none of them are... Apart from Nico, who's probably going to start. You know, the other two won't. So it's really just 1 pointers for all of them. So honestly, you're probably going to look at starting Trent or Perisic, in my opinion. Opinion on Firmino and Carvalho. Don't really like Carvalho as an FPL option, but I do like Firmino. I think he's a fantastic option this week and probably one of the very best captaincy options. By the way, lads, I know it might seem crazy, and maybe it's because of the different air here, and you know, I'm thinking too much about... I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying at this point, but I might take a hit and bring in Bukayo Saka in for Wilfried Zaha, because you look at the fixtures, obviously Palace have some fantastic games up until the World Cup, and even after that, and, you know, Southampton, Everton, West Ham, good fixtures, even Nottingham Forest in 16. But I think I'm going to bring in Saka. It's a risk, obviously, and it could backfire. And it is for a -4 hit, but I do want triple Arsenal. And I think I will bring in Ben White next week for free. And he will come in for one of Doherty, Kilman, or Anderson. Most likely Doherty or Kilman. So I am going to bring in Bukayo Saka, who isn't injured out. I think he will start. I don't think it's a big concern. And there we go. I think I've done it. There you go. So very risky. It could backfire, but I have done it. Saka is in. And that is it. I literally, it's just a eureka moment. I have been thinking about the whole, hour or something, like I told you earlier. Now that I've had a bit of time to think about it, I have gone ahead with this move. Let me see if I can quickly bring in Saka as well for one of my family's team as well. I think I'm going to do it too. So we're going to bring in Saka for them as well. And then, yeah, that is going to be good to go. All right, that's all done. I think we are pretty much locked in. We're literally seconds away from the deadline. Let me know what you think of that. Maybe some of you are going to be like, Dylan, you're just an absolute idiot. And that's fair enough. That is fair enough. So just kind of the big news, really, of the predicted lineup. Trent is expected to be benched. Same with Nunez. Who to replace Trent with? Arsenal defender. Obviously, apart from the likes of Trippier and Cancelo, or another City defender, I would just point you towards the direction of White, Saliba, Gabriel, etc. Yeah, it could backfire, but I really back Saka against Southampton and Nottingham Forest, and also the games afterwards. Yeah, of course. We'll wait and see what happens. Obviously, Zaha is a good option, and maybe it isn't worth a hit, but I am quite happy with my decision there. Odd question, but how do you get the away quits? It's not an odd question. I've been getting it a lot over the last few months when I've had it. Let me try to get the actual link for you. So yeah, we are locked in now. Thank you to everyone for tuning in. It's great to see you. Check that link and you'll see it. Saka's on penalties also, yes. Also fantastic form. If we check his returns, actually, since game week 4, pretty much a return in every single game except the Tottenham game where he was absolutely amazing as well. In the Europa League, also scored against Bodo Glimt, and he also scored, I think, in both games against them, actually, if I'm not mistaken. But he's just been fantastic in all competitions, and honestly, I really like Saka. Even against Chelsea, he's got a decent record against them in recent matches. Then you've got Wolves. Honestly, I really like Saka. His ownership isn't too high as well, which I do like. I wouldn't say it's a no-brainer because getting rid of Zaha for a hit can backfire, but I'm quite happy with my decision. If it, kind of goes against me, then fair enough. The only problem is if Doherty comes on for 1 point or something, that would definitely be frustrating. What are you going to do on the F1 fantasy stream? I'd love to do F1 fantasy streams, but there's just not enough demand for that. I've done one fantasy stream before for F1, and, it went pretty well. I enjoyed it. But like I said, there's not enough kind of demand. Same with the videos as well. But in terms of what I'm doing this week for F1 Fantasy, I did bring in Hamilton. I've also got Lance Stroll, and I think I've got Red Bull and Leclerc and Sainz as my turbo driver. So that is my main team. And I've got Lando Norris and other builds. But yeah, no streams for the time being. Once, kind of the demand goes up and maybe I start doing F1 Fantasy videos again, it could definitely happen again. Captain Salah praying for Hall. Honestly, good luck to you, and I hope it pays off. And if it does, the rank rise could be extraordinary. When you look at my team, there's a few things that could definitely go wrong. Benching Pope, having Doherty first on my bench over Andreas and Kilman, bringing in Saka for a -4, and he could maybe be benched or something like that. Hopefully, it doesn't go too badly, though. Good luck, Sidindra, as well. Just did one transfer this week and sold Andreas to Foden. Enjoy your holiday, Dylan. Thank you, Sidindra. I'll see you in the next stream as well. And I wish you all the best of luck as well for this week. Solid, hopefully. Tony or Mitrovic vice captain. I would have probably gone for Tony out of those two. I mean, yeah, I think Firmino's a fantastic option this week, Sophia, honestly. I think he's probably my favourite captaincy option besides the kind of typical ones of Cancelo, Foden, etc. I think Firmino's a great choice. Yeah, he does get random assists like he did against Bournemouth, that is true. White and Saka in for Bowen and Nico next week. Yes, I think that's a good shout. Looks really good, and I'm looking to get in White too, or another Arsenal defender. Mount to Fernandes. Is Fernandes to Mount? Oh, so Mount to Fernandes. Honestly, I'd still prefer Mount, and Fernandes was exceptional against Spurs, but you want to see more consistency first before jumping in on him. Just as soon as you inform me that Trent is getting benched, I immediately transfer him out for Van Dijk, as I'm on wildcard this game week. That's good. Obviously, it's all thanks to the people in the live chat who let me know that the predicted lineup or the leaked lineup was out. But we were talking about this for the last half an hour or so. It looks like Milner was expected to start, and it probably will be the case. Why not Salah captaincy this week? Just because with Salah, I know he's probably going to play up front today, but early kickoff, if you can count that as a reason. And also, Haaland is still exceptional. And in home games, I'd probably always captain Haaland. It's just the away games. If Haaland was playing Brighton away, then I'd be more inclined to go for Salah. But it's just too much inconsistency from the Egyptian for the value and the price he offers. And also, as a captaincy option, I just don't trust him enough as I once did. Who'd you get for the last 3 weeks? Rashford or Martinelli? Probably still Martinelli, mate. Last minute, I benched Salah. No way. Really? Fernandes had one good game and the 2021 Fernandes hype is back. The thing is, though, his overall performances, I wouldn't say they've been better recently. I mean, the thing is with Fernandes, he is more of a goals and assist player. So when he has a really good performance, creates 9 chances against a good team, and he also scores a great goal, the hype, I wouldn't say is justly, it comes back, but I can understand why people are really keen to jump in on him, but I want to see more first. How are your kits different? Just check this link that I'm going to put in the chat. Just click on it and add it to your Chrome, your browser. It works with Chrome, Brave, and I think a few others. I don't think it does with Safari. That's just, he's known for Ayub. I think at one point, I think I was trolled in one of my streams. Yeah, and I should have just checked the handle. But yeah, very easy to kind of expose in a way. Tony and Vardy, I like Tony. Just a concern about suspension. And as for Vardy, I wouldn't go for him in FPL nowadays. I don't think it's worth it. Maddison's the only Leicester asset apart from Ward and maybe Castagna that I'd consider. Early kickoff, and you know what will happen. Nico hat-trick incoming. I don't know about hat-trick, but if Nico got a haul, I mean, that'd be insane, wouldn't it? I want to get Casemiro. Yeah, but the thing is, Lungani, I mean, I like Casemiro in like a UCL Fantasy or Sky Fantasy Football, but in terms of FPL, he's not going to get enough goals or assists to make him worthwhile, in my opinion. Started Gay instead of Trippier. That's not a bad decision, to be fair. Have both Diet and Son. Hope I don't regret that. To be fair, though, if there was a week for Newcastle assets to blank, it would be this one, I think. Have you done predictions for this game week? Yeah, thank you for reminding me. So let's go through that quickly before I wrap up. So in terms of predicted lineups or predicted points or scores, whatever. Actually, I haven't done it. I didn't make the list. Jesus. So we'll go through this now one by one. Nottingham Forest against Liverpool. My prediction is 3-0 Liverpool. Everton versus Palace. Oof, that is a tough game. I think 1-1 in that game. Man City Brighton. Ooh, I think I will go for a 3-0 as well. If anything, you know what? I'm going to go for a 4-0 Liverpool and a 3-0 City. Although it could easily be the other way around. Chelsea Man United. I think I'll go for a Chelsea win 2-1. Aston Villa Brentford. 2-1 Brentford, although it's really close. Leeds versus Fulham. I'm going for 2-2. Southampton Arsenal, really, really close. I think 3-1 Arsenal. Wolves versus Leicester. Wolves versus Leicester. Wow, that's a really close one. I'm going to go for a draw. I'm going to go for 1-1. Spurs versus Newcastle. I'm going to go for a 2-1 for Spurs. And West Ham Bournemouth. I think 2-0 West Ham. Yeah, so those are my predictions, kind of close. I might change some after the stream is done. I'm kind of like doing some predictions with friends. That's why sometimes I have them ready during the streams and stuff. Yes, I did bring in Saka Raf. Let's see how it goes. And it was for a hit for Zaha. How he can change the handle, says Ayub. I'm not sure what you mean there, but in terms of YouTube handles, it is possible to change them. It was a recent feature. Loaded up on Liverpool attackers and Arsenal defence, along with Haaland, Cancel and Foden. Looks really good to me. I'm the one who activated the free hit by mistake. To be honest, I do agree with that. And I would have maybe gone for one Arsenal attacker or two. But honestly, it looks great. And you have done the right thing. Loading up on that triple up in City and also those Liverpool attackers. Really good stuff. Triple captain Haaland. Good luck, Collins. Honestly, I wish you the best. And hopefully it turns out well for you. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he hauled massively. Jadon Sancho as an FPL option, no. I'd love to go for these differentials and say it. Honestly, though, I haven't seen enough from Sancho to warrant a discussion FPL-wise. I'd rather go for Bruno, Martial when he's fit and available and starting games, Rashford, and maybe even Anthony, but not Jadon Sancho at the moment. And also, when I'm looking at the others, if anything, Firmino's the big differential I'd recommend this week. Dylan Salah injured in the warm-up. Is it true? No way. Really? I mean, nah, that would be absolutely insane if he was. Yeah, no. I mean, the thing is with warm-ups, I mean, when's the game starting? Is it? I'm trying to think because I'm getting confused here. So 12:30. So we're talking about an hour or something's time. So yeah, no, yeah, Tech is right. They're not in the warm-up yet. Good luck for the weekend, Dylan. Great stream as always. Thank you, Cyril. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you very much for tuning in. Wolves Leicester 0-0. Oh, mate, I'd love that, Ayub. Honestly, this is the first time I'm starting Ward. Hopefully it pays off. Swapped in Robertson from -4. Do you think you'll get 4 points more than Trippier? I'd say so. You know, on paper, yes, but Trippier is such a machine at the moment. Summit, the team, what would I rate it? Probably a 4. It's a good team. You've got a really good goalkeeper this week. You've got a good defense. Amran and Xhaka, I do like them, at that price and below, but you are maybe missing out on the likes of Foden and Saka, I'd say. But the rest looks really good. I'd say a 4 out of 5. Thank you, Frail. I appreciate, Fraud, sorry, the Disruptor. Thank you for the shout out. And also FPL Diamond. How bad would it be if Haaland hauls and I didn't captain him? Probably very bad in terms of effective ownership. But look, if you have a really good captaincy option yourself, like Kane or Salah who haul, it's not going to be too bad. Would you keep Zaha or Sinistera this week? Probably Zaha. Nick N puts his team: Gaeta, Gabriel, Cancelo, Zuma, Joe Gomez, Zaha, Martinelli, Bowen, Haaland, Tony Kane. Looks fantastic. I really like it. And for this week, the likes of Zuma could even haul this week. That looks like a really good team, Nick. In terms of rating, I'm not sure. You're 9 out of 10, whatever, 4.5, but it looks fantastic. But yeah, we will be wrapping up very soon. I'll try to go for any last questions. Hoping for a Son on Bowen haul. It is possible. I think Bowen, really good chance against Bournemouth, and Son against Newcastle, despite the difficulty of the opposition, there is a good chance there as well. Good luck, Wei Seng, and let's see how everything pans out. And thank you to everyone for tuning in. So just to kind of recap, I have started Wood over Pope. My backline is Anderson, Cancelo, and Trippier, with Martinelli, Salah, Zaha, and Foden. And my front line is Mitrovic, Tony, and Haaland, with Haaland being my captain, Salah my vice. It looks like Salah will be playing down the middle. And also I brought in, oh sorry, did I just say Zaha? What an absolute mug I am. I did bring in Saka for Zaha, and this was for a -4. So my 2 transfers was Foden and Saka in for Trossard and Zaha. Let's wait and see how it all turns out. Doherty is expected to be benched this week, and that's why I have benched him in the end. Otherwise, he would have started in for Anderson. Hopefully, it does pay off. Hi, Dylan, backing Salah this game week. Let's go. Yep. Good luck, Stefan. Hopefully, it turns out right. And honestly, I wouldn't mind. Cheers, Nick. Rate my team: Ward, Gay, Trippier, Cancelo, Martinelli, Saka, Foden, Zaha, Kane, Haaland, Mitrovic. Really good team. The only ones that, you'd be a bit concerned about is Ward, Gay, and Trippier, but honestly, it's a fantastic team. Really good stuff, probably an 8 or 9 out of 10 as well. Yeah, my team is on screen, Mackenzie. You can see it on screen, unless I'm bugging out. Yeah, that is my team. But yeah, honestly, really good stuff. Yeah, Nunez is expected to be benched. The same goes for Trent. I got burnt once by Salah captaincy over Haaland. Dropped 700k. The thing is, though, it doesn't mean, if it didn't turn out right once, it doesn't mean it never will work again. But it does put you off, and I do understand that. I'm to use FPL transfer suggestion bot in the Discord server next game week. Yes. I'm looking to see how to add bots and stuff. I have done it in the past before, but it was a bit annoying. They're doing the welcome messages and stuff. So I want to see how to properly set it up. And also, it'd be great to see for price rises. Whenever someone goes up or down, just have a bot that recommends it or lets us know in the Discord server. If anyone does know that's watching this video, if you do know how to kind of work that out and have basically price change bots in the Discord server, then let me know in Discord and we'll talk and we'll sort that out. Thank you, Arthur, as well. Thoughts on this wildcard lock draft? Raya, Cancelo, Trippier, Carrere, Salah, Saka, Martinelli, Foden, Tony, Haaland. It looks fantastic for this week. Bobby as well, of course. Long term, though, do I like the likes of Carrere? Not really. And I think Kep is better than Raya, but the rest looks fantastic. Thank you, Soldier Boy. It's good to see you. And yeah, it's always a pleasure. And yeah, finally, we did go live. Salah captain, I'm seeing quite a lot of you in the chat doing it. I don't think it'll be that popular in the grand scheme of things, but really good stuff. Trossard wiping out Cancelo clean sheet and Haaland blanking. That would be a nightmare. Dylan, I did it as well. Went Trossard to Saka for -4. I mean, that's a really good transfer. Well, in my case, it was Zaha to Saka, so I think that's a bit more risky. I think it's really good. Why do you think Trent will be benched? Rotation, you got the Liverpool versus Ajax game midweek. It makes sense, to be fair. Just imagine Salah with 5 goals. It's possible. I'd say 2 or 3 is more likely, I'd say. Trossard to Foden done. Yep, wish I'd done the move before the price rise. Same here. It was frustrating. It was literally the one day where I didn't check the price rises and stuff, and he went up. Yeah, Firmino captain, honestly, I wish you the best of luck there. He's a fantastic choice this week, in my opinion. Should I do Bowen to Saka today? Yeah, if it's going to price you out, Tech, and you won't be able to afford it later on, then I would do it. Just bear in mind, obviously, that Saka does play Chelsea in Game Week 15, and Bowen has a few home games after this game week as well. Yeah, Mackenzie, really good stuff. I'm not sure about Emerson. He's the one big kind of issue. And you've also got Andreas, who, look, he's not a bad option to start, but those two would be the kind of weaklings, so to speak. The rest is great. Easily an 8.5 out of 10 team or 8 out of 10. Looks great stuff. Yeah, Trent is going to be benched, it looks like, yeah. Risking Salah captaincy for this week. If he doesn't deliver, I'll remove him from my team. That's completely fair enough, although it could still backfire in the next 2 weeks with the fixtures Liverpool have. 9-0 for Liverpool and Salah blank. Don't say that, come on. Firmino hat-trick incoming. I could easily see him getting 3 or 4 attacking contributions with assists involved. Yeah, Trent and Nunez benched. It looks like it. Liverpool need a point for the Ajax game to qualify. Yeah, but you might as well kind of secure it and play your best team there. I don't like it when I can't watch my captain. Yes. But if not, sometimes just disconnect or watch another game and don't think about it too much. Maybe do the match of the day challenge, although that might raise your blood pressure. Thanks, Dylan. Good luck to all managers. Thank you. Suarez, good luck to you as well. We've got the same points now. He was ahead with a lot 3-4 games ago. That's the thing. Things can change so quickly. Let's see how things go in the future. And I've actually gotten some green arrows in recent weeks as well. So the benching is understandable going back from an injury too. Exactly, which we talked about earlier. In years gone by, you never would have expected Trent to be benched, but with those factors in, just coming back from an injury, crucial game midweek, makes complete sense. 16k subscribers, well done, bro. Thank you. I'm not sure how far away we are from that. I think we are literally just a few away. We're 8 away. So if you are new around here, then you know what to do. Be sure to smash the like button and subscribe if you're new. And it'd be greatly appreciated to get to that milestone today. I think it is possible. And we've also got some UCL fantasy content coming your way. So also be sure to hit the notification bell so you never miss a single upload or live stream. The plan is to do a UCL Fantasy Matchday 6 deadline stream. Oh, well, definitely. But also Matchday 5 one this week. But after that, no more streams up until the reaction stream potentially. After the Gameweek 14 deadline where there won't be a stream because I will be traveling on that day pretty much. But yeah, stream wasn't too bad, I guess. You know, there were some drop frames, but only 4%. Which is not too shabby, I think. So just a few frozen frames, really. Maybe the audio cut out. Be sure to let me know in the live chat and also in the comment section. But not too shabby. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM, and also check the links in the description below for the Discord server, the Patreon, the channel memberships, and my Twitter and Instagram, and all of that, like the FPL League. So it's been a pleasure as always. I will see you very soon for the UCL Fantasy Deadline stream, I hope. And there's also going to be potentially a best wildcard team for Matchday 5 coming out today. And I will also be looking to upload a team selection video for UCL Fantasy. And hopefully I can record some content for Gameweek 14, the team selection, and maybe a best wildcard team video for all of that. So I wish you all the best of luck. Enjoy the rest of your day. And I wish you all the best of luck for Gameweek 13, 14 as well, of course. And I'll see you next time. Take care.